Ramai ke peserta?
Dalam 50 orang juga Doktor.
Oh,
Saya termute. Dalam 50 orang juga dalam registration tu, termasuk dengan para pencarah lah. Jadi lebih kurang pagi tadi kita ada lebih kurang dalam 21 orang macam tu.
Satu orang. Baik.
Kita tak berapa, kita memang limitkan apa orang kata peserta sebab kita nak fokus kata tu betul kan. Dan juga sebab session ni macam satu session daripada editor-editor, so dia nak jadi eksklusif sikit.
Oh.
Sekejap ya, saya
Okay.
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think we shall begin now. Okay, Doktor, Dr. Kadir, I think we're going to start now lah, insyaAllah. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to our third session in the Gender Publication Workshop for Researcher in Islamic Studies. Okay, insyaAllah we're going to have our second session actually, after the keynote speaker. Third session with speaker of the Al-Bayan. We have other speakers that's going to share with us the tips on publication and all his experience on publication lah, insyaAllah. Okay. I know that maybe in the tentative it will be Dr. Najwa will be moderator, but unfortunately she can't be with us today, so I'm going to replace her. Okay, again. Welcome back. Inshallah, this afternoon we are having Associate Professor Dr. Kadir bin Ahmad. Associate Professor Dr. Kadir bin Ahmad is currently a lecturer and researcher at the Department of Al-Quran and Hadith from Academy of Islamic Studies, University Malaya. His specialization is on Islamic Studies, Al-Tib Al-Nabawi, Alternative Medicine, Islamic treatment, sorcery treatment. I'm not sure if I pronounced it correctly. Second, his expertise in hadith analysis, fiqh al-hadith, takhrij al-hadith, and also hadith studies. Associate Professor Dr. Kadir bin Ahmad attained his PhD in al-hadith in 2012 from University Malaya. Master in Al-Quran and Al-Hadith, also from University of Malaya, and Bachelor in Al-Quran and Al-Hadith from Usuluddin from University Malaya in 2005. If you look at his CVs and bibliography, he has numbers of publications in Scopus and also WOS. Not only that, he is also currently an editor for Al-Bayan, Journal of Quranic and Hadith Studies. Okay, without any further ado, I would like to welcome Associate Professor Dr. Kadir bin Ahmad on his presentation topic, the art of constructing quality academic papers, the Islamic studies style of writing. So without any further ado, the floor is yours.
Okay. And Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, everybody here. Mic okay ya?
Okay.
Alhamdulillahirrahmanirrahim. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulil amin. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Okay, good afternoon. For today's session, for my topic related to the art of constructing quality academic papers, ada double G tu, so sorry. Islamic studies styles of writing, focusing on Al-Bayan experience. For today, yang pertama sekali, saya mula ketika bahasa Melayu lah. Bahasa Inggeris dia lambat sikit. Boleh kan? Ada yang
tak apa. Yang mana kita boleh tu nanti ada translation sikit-sikit.
Notes in English, but
yeah.
maybe we explain in Malay.
Okay.
Pertama sekali saya ucapkan terima kasih pada pihak PTM atas jemputan pada hari ini. Sebenarnya saya ini menggantikan bagi pihak Dr. Latif yang mana dia tak berapa sihat. Dia ada migraine, saya ada maklum. Jadi dia ada jumpa dia. Jadi dia pun minta saya gantikan, insyaAllah. Cuma apa yang akan kita bincang ni berdasarkan kepada memang kita akan fokuskan kepada cara untuk kita memilih artikel secara khususnya, tapi kita akan bawa perspektif Al-Bayan juga, memandangkan dalam perbincangan ataupun dalam kita menulis artikel ni, kita juga kena kenal khususnya jurnal-jurnal yang mana kita ada spesifik fokus dia punya publication dia tu. Jadi kita tahu tentang jurnal tersebut supaya kita pun jelas bagaimana kehendak jurnal. Jadi mungkin untuk yang paling dekat dengan kita punya perbincangan pada hari ini yang saya akan bawa, memandangkan saya salah seorang terlibat dalam sebagai editor dalam jurnal Al-Bayan ni, maka mungkin di pihak saya boleh menjelaskan secara langsung bagaimana Al-Bayan proses menerima dan apa-apa yang ada kaitan dengan artikel sehinggalah artikel itu diterbitkan. Dan saya boleh bagi beberapa cadangan untuk kita ke arah move forward lah kan, untuk kita hasilkan artikel yang berkualiti. Okay, untuk discussion pada petang ini, kita akan fokuskan kepada yang pertama, Bayan Jurnal, yang mana saya akan kenalkan dulu Al-Bayan segi beberapa aspek yang berkaitan dan juga berkaitan dengan field of specialization ni, kaitan dengan bidang yang difokuskan bagi Al-Bayan. The second one, article journal writing and framework, yang ni yang berdasarkan kepada experience lah, maksudnya saya dah terlibat beberapa jurnal yang kita menilai kan, menilai jurnal-jurnal yang mana kita dapati pihak-pihak jurnal, masing-masing jurnal tu dia ada guideline yang khusus, dan biasanya pihak jurnal dia akan bagi dia punya kriteria-kriteria yang perlu dipenuhi untuk dia punya jurnal dia. Jadi bila artikel tu sampai kepada kita, kita akan buat penilaian berdasarkan apa yang diperlukan. Termasuklah yang aspek yang memang diberikan penekanan, mungkin aspek yang kita katakan bidang kepakaran, itu pun diambil kira juga. Dan yang ketiga, merit article to be accepted, khususnya segi Al-Bayan sendiri. Saya akan sebutkan bagaimana biasanya Al-Bayan menerima artikel dan proses yang penilaian dilakukan, dan khususnya mungkin kita ada Q&A. Okey, boleh ya? Tanya dulu. Saya cakap seorang pula. Bertanya juga saya. Okay.
Boleh Doktor, insyaAllah.
Kadang-kadang tanya juga kadang-kadang kelas ni kan. Bila dalam kelas tu semuanya internet tak ada, saya cakap seorang. Kita tak berasa, kita tengok slide kan. Okey. Saya mohon maaf lah sebab saya pun baru siapkan dia punya slide ni. Okey, berkaitan dengan topik yang pertama kita pada hari ini berkaitan dengan Al-Bayan. Sebelum tu saya nak tanya, masa saya berapa apa diperuntukkan?
Kita ada mungkin sampai 3 suku untuk doktor punya session, dan 3 suku sampai 3.5 kita ada orang panggil apa, Q&A.
Ini boleh. Saya bajet dalam 1 jam lah untuk ni kan.
Okey. Doktor, apa ni, ada request sikit daripada participant untuk kalau boleh selit-selitkan bahasa Inggeris sikit.
Okay. Don't worry, the slide in English, this explanation small sebab lambat kalau English. Okey.
Faham.
Ya, Okay, jurnal Al-Bayan ni, jurnal yang memang dah lama dah, kalau ikut dia punya sejarah dia kan. Ada di Akademi Politik Islam. This Al-Bayan is from Academy of Islamic Study under Department of Quran and Hadith. It's long, I think about 10 or 20 years from 2005 until now. But after kita dah pindah ke asalnya memang Al-Bayan ni dimiliki oleh sepenuhnya pihak Jabatan Quran Hadis, hingga sekarang pun ada milikian. Cuma pada tahun 2014 kita dah sediakan Al-Bayan ni, yang mana penerbitannya we give to Braille Publication. Sebab tu kalau sesiapa yang masuk ke laman web Al-Bayan dan dia cari dalam my site ke, memang tak ada lah, sebab kita punya publish ni kita panggil international publish. My site kan memang tak dapat disenaraikan. Saya dah tanya pihak my site sebab dia kata jurnal ni memandangkan bukan diterbitkan di dalam Malaysia, maka dia tak boleh diindekskan di dalam my site yang Malaysian punya citation kan. Jadi dia letak di luar. Okay, nanti kita akan teranglah dia punya beberapa citation yang lain. Jadi dia adalah satu, our journal ni adalah pre-review yang mana the twice a year, June and December. But our process begin if June. Now we have done for December. December, if I think the all done for this year. We begin for next year in June. So siapa-siapa yang nak submit artikel tahun boleh dah submit sekarang untuk next for June. We be provide around 7 artikel or 7 to 10 artikel. Nak sampai Disember pun boleh. Maksudnya kita proses tu lebih awal lah untuk penerbitan. Jadi ini makluman awal kita dengan Al-Bayan. Okay, berkaitan dengan dia punya editorial information. Editor-in-chief ni maksudnya dia biasanya editor-in-chief ni sesiapa sahaja yang head department of Quran Hadis, dia akan jadi editor-in-chief. Kemudian kita ada managing editors, yang ni di asalnya Dr. Abdul Latif. Memang sekarang ni dia pun still Dr. Abdul Latif. Kemudian dia bahagikan di bawah managing editor ada beberapa editor yang ditugaskan. Sepatutnya saya masuk bawah artikel-artikel untuk tapisan bahasa Melayu. Yang mana kita terima agak banyak juga dan kita bahagi tugas masing-masing lah untuk proses penilaian. Sebab bila kita dah naik indeks tu, kita memang menerima satu jumlah artikel yang banyak dan kita proses selalulah. Bahkan ada yang QQ pun ada lah kan. Dan prosesnya agak lambat sikit lah. Okay, sebab kita dah ada satu bank yang banyak juga. Okey. Yang lain ni tambahan-tambahan associate editor, Dr. Selamat, semua ni ada di kalangan warga Jabatan Quran dan Hadis, staff from Department of Quran dan Hadis. Okey, sebab yang kita dari segi proses untuk kita nilai, maksudnya kita terima artikel sampailah kita proses penerimaan yang akhir tu untuk disetujui untuk penerbitan, semua diuruskan di pihak yang editorial information editorial ni daripada Department of Quran dan Hadis. Dan bila dah artikel tu selesai semua, barulah kita akan hantar kepada pihak Braille. Pihak Braille ni dia akan uruskan pada bahagian penerbitan yang melibatkan kepada buat layout semua dan nanti dia akan appear dekat online. Dan dia akan jual. Tu tak apalah, tu punya pihak dia lah kan. Sebab kita Al-Bayan ni agak berbeza lah. Orang komplain pun ada komplain sebab artikel dia tak boleh dibaca disebabkan dia kenakan cas. Cas maksudnya cas per artikel. Ataupun yang boleh akses ni kalau institusi tu dah langgan di pihak Braille dengan pihak Braille sendiri, maka dia boleh baca lah artikel tersebut. So if someone want to refer to Al-Bayan article that has been published, they need to spend some money lah kan. I think around 30 ringgit, $30 per paper. Oh, quite expensive lah. Okay. Okey, tidak apa. Kemudian our scope of the journal, Al-Bayan peer review academic journal of Quran and Hadith studies. We provide 3 area qualified specialists in area of Quranic and Hadith study for English, either English, Arabic or Malay. I will tell after this how to prepare the article. So average number of the article in every volume 5 to 10. For number 1, 5 to 10, and also for number 2, 5 to 10. Totally around year 20, include additional maybe book review 1 or 2. So we have separate because we have an agreement with the Braille. English paper will be for 4 to 7, maximum 7. Malay will be 1 or 2 article, maximum 2. Arabic, only Arabic is only 1. Only 1 Arabic can be published in every volume, or number 1 or number 2. So every year I think for Arabic only 2 paper. For Malay every year only 4 papers. This the agreement have been done with my department, our editorial, with the Braille. And additional, if we have book review one or two, this additional. Sometimes saya tengok juga kadang-kadang tu kita agak susah dari segi artikel Arab ni, memandangkan artikel Arab ni kita terima dengan jumlah yang banyak juga, tetapi masalahnya ialah dia punya kepanjangan dia tu kan. Arab ni biasanya dia tulis sekali datang tu 36 halaman, 40 halaman untuk satu paper. Jadi biasanya kita ambil masa untuk kita reject itu, banyakkan reject lah sebab dia punya reject tu disebabkan dia punya quality artikel lah biasanya, disebabkan penulis tu tulis terlalu panjang. Kecuali yang mana kita dapati scholar-scholar di Arabic itu yang mana dia memang telah biasa dengan artikel yang index, corpus dan sebagainya, maka biasanya kualiti dia agak bagus. Tapi kalau yang di Middle East tu memang kita akan ada cabaran yang banyak juga sebab kita komen pun banyak untuk dia baki. Orang ni dia kadang-kadang kita komen dia tak boleh terima pun ada. Tapi at least kita maintain one lah kan setiap kali ni. Okey. Kemudian for Al-Bayan sebagai pendalan ni, untuk indeks kita dah Scopus, di bawah Scopus memang ada dalam list by Scopus. Kemudian Way of Sign ni under ECSI, Emergent Sources Citation Index, ECSI, ESCI, Emergent Sources Citation Index. Kita dah lama juga dalam Way of Sign ni, dan bolehlah kalau nak hantarkan, kita dah masuk ni untuk indeks. Sebab disebabkan indeks ni antara faktor kenapa kita kerjasama dengan Braille, pihak Braille sebagai publisher, dengan tujuan untuk mempercepatkan naik ke Scopus. Memang betul lah sebab dia punya kualiti artikel kita, tetapi dia punya content artikel tu, jadi bila publish ni kita berikan pihak Braille. Jadi faktor bersama dengan Braille tu mempengaruhi lah juga untuk dapat indeks. Kalau siapa-siapa cuma dia ada pro and con lah, sebabkan bila Al-Bayan berada di bawah Braille, Al-Bayan tak diiktiraf milik macam Universiti Malaya kan, walaupun sepenuhnya kita yang uruskan, tapi disebabkan dia publish under international publisher, jadi dia tak termasuk dalam Universiti Malaya punya. Tapi betul bersyukur sebab dia termasuk dalam international publisher yang memang diiktiraf. Okey, itu dari segi Al-Bayan. Okey, kemudian Emerging Society Index, dia adalah maklumat ni saya nyatakan sebab dulu saya pernah terangkan dekat UKM, saya share juga. Okey, ni yang lain, indexing yang lain dia ada Academic Research Alumni Edition, Academic Research for Complete, Elite, Premier, kemudian Ultimate, Arab World Research Source, yang tadi Way of Sign tu ESCI, Enrich Plus, Index Islamicus, Scopus and the Bedrose. Ini dia punya indeks, dan kita pun sebenarnya kalau dahulu kita dalam plan untuk naik dia punya satu indeks lagi kan, untuk yang di bawah Way of Sign tu. Tapi saya tengok bila dah pihak urus pun dah dia punya citation tu dia dah structure balik kan, dia ada yang saya tak ingat dia ada pada 3 yang main tu. Maka dalam tu dia dah ESCI ni termasuk dalam satu citation yang berada di bawah UAS sendiri. Cuma kami di pihak UM ni dia masih ada kita kan panggil complicated lagi lah, sebab di segi dulu dia tak iktiraf ESCI ni. ESCI ni dianggap kalau di UM dahulu sama dengan Scopus sahaja. Cuma sekarang ni dalam KPI kami lagi dah di bawah kan. Jadi saya tak nak sebut dah tu. Okay, just for maklumat je. Okay, kemudian segi Q yang tahun 2020 kita Q3 high index masih 4. Saya tengok yang tahun ni pun masih 4. Kemudian untuk penyediaan artikel bagi jurnal Al-Bayan ni, kita dah ada dia punya structure dia, boleh masuk ke Braille. Kalau nak mudahnya type Al-Bayan Braille, nanti akan dapatlah dia punya link jurnal tersebut, boleh download dia punya structure untuk penyediaan artikel. Saya sebutkan di sini kenapa perlu penting, sangat penting untuk kita download dan faham dulu cara penyediaan artikel, khususnya apabila we have a complete article kan. Jadi kita nak kena prepare artikel tersebut supaya dia memenuhi kriteria yang telah ditetapkan oleh pihak jurnal. Okey. Kemudian dari sudut field of specialization ni bagi Al-Bayan, bagi siapa-siapa yang mungkin di dalam ni ada yang nak menulis dan dia boleh fokuskan kepada salah satu bidang lah. Sebab bidang dia sangat luas. Bila melibatkan Al-Quran dan Hadis ni sebenarnya sangat luas kan. Very wide lah dia punya bidang dia. Cuma the aspek yang apa yang kita nak bahaskan ataupun yang kita nak bincangkan itu kena kita ambil kira. Sebab nanti nak relate dengan Quran dan Hadis. Bukan hanya sekadar kita kata apa celupan ataupun hanya tempelan dalil semata-mata, tapi dia ada juga discussion yang ada relate dengan kita punya Quran ataupun Hadis tu sendiri. Okey, kalau tengok di sini dia kata Quranic and Hadith Study ni Al-Bayan peer review academic yang mana Journal of Quran and Hadith provide article writing in kita kata 3 bahasa yang tadi itu, sama ada English ke, Arabic ataupun Malay, yang mana the editor welcome article all aspect in Quranic and Hadith Study. Apa-apa sahaja artikel yang mana ada relate dengan Quranic Study. Dalam arti kata our topic or our discussion must relate to the Quranic study, not only put we call the dalil Quran and Hadith in the muqaddimah, in the introduction, then others not related to the Quran and Hadith also must include in the discussion or in the analyze or something else. Kemudian in Malay section dia kata Al-Bayan regularly publish Malay work as scholar Malay Asia and South Asia. Dalam arti kata kalau kita yang di UTM ni mana-mana terlibat dalam kajian Nusantara ataupun yang di sebelah sini ni kan, maksudnya melibatkan Singapura ke, yang mana dia ada relate juga dengan pengajian Quran dan juga hadis, memang kita welcome juga untuk hantar ke Al-Bayan. Sebab kita tak nak kena kesampingkan perbincangan yang mana ada perbincangan yang scholar ramai juga yang kaji yang melibatkan kajian Nusantara. Contoh macam karya-karya hadis di Nusantara, karya-karya tafsir di Nusantara, banyak yang dikaji. Bahkan kalau tengok di kalangan orientalis sekalipun, mereka juga ada yang terlibat langsung dalam kajian kitab-kitab Jawi lama yang mana mereka kaji dari pelbagai aspek yang mereka publishkan di luar sana. Sebab tu kita welcome juga di kalangan scholar-scholar yang menulis tentang aspek Nusantara ni, kenusantaraan, khususnya dalam yang melibatkan kita katakan pengajian Quran dan hadis tu sendiri. But kita jangan tengok bila nampak Quran hadis ni only see Quran, the text, the Quran and the text of hadis. Not this dalil sahaja kan. Itu baru teks, sebab dia punya when we come in ataupun kita masuk ke dalam Quran tu, dia ilmu dia terlalu luas lah. Okay. Kemudian the Arabic section in this journal is helpful resource for student and research in Islamic study and those who are familiar with the Arabic language. Kita masuk yang Arabic ni juga sebab kita dapati ramai juga di kalangan di kalangan Arab, maksudnya orang Arab yang mana dia boleh bahasa Inggeris tapi dia nak kekalkan bahasa Arab tu, dia ada artikel yang berkualiti dan kita terima dia. Dan kita jadikan dia punya, kita kata kita satu value added lah dalam kita punya journal, yang mana tidak fokus mata-mata ke bahasa Inggeris tapi meraihkan bahasa Melayu dan juga bahasa Arab. Sebab kita dapati di kalangan orang Middle East yang boleh berbahasa Arab pun ramai, yang mana mereka ni memang kadang-kadang tak nak rujuk kepada yang bahasa Inggeris tu kan, dia agak sukar. Jadi bahasa Arab tu diraihkan untuk kita ambil dia punya, panggil orang pembaca-pembaca ni. Cuma isu satu lah macam saya sebut tadi, isu kat Al-Bayan ni, isu bahaya tu. Pembayaran itu menyebabkan dia agak citation dia kurang, disebabkan orang nak access, nak baca artikel tu must pay some money untuk read. Jadi bila student, saya rasa when student ni biasa dia tak akan beli lah kan. Dia tak akan beli, kecuali yang akan bantu dia beli ni mungkin based kepada research grant ke ataupun from library ke yang akan tolong untuk belikan. Ataupun kalau kita, saya tengok di kalau pengalaman di sini, dia library ni ada satu kemudahan, dan kalau lah ada student-student kat sini, yang mana dia rasa nak artikel tu ada dalam mana-mana jurnal sekalipun dan dia rasa dia tak boleh nak akses dan dia perlu bayar untuk akses, artikel student tu boleh buat kita panggil apa, satu permohonan, send application for the librarian untuk tolong beli ataupun tolong dapatkan artikel tu. Dia ada satu kemudahan. Sebab sekarang ni library saya rasa dia ada kemudahan untuk inter-library, bukan inter saja, maksudnya antara library itu bukan saja dalam tapi di luar negeri ataupun di luar negara. Macam kita kata ada satu artikel tu yang memang kita rasa perlu untuk kajian kita, perlu sebab dia sangat relate dengan kita punya kajian, kita nak tahu dia punya gap tu, maka kita nak akses tak boleh, kita boleh pergi maklum kepada pihak library untuk dia yang tolong akses bagi pihak kita. Maksudnya dia tolong download bagi pihak kita melalui institusi itu sendiri. Saya rasa itu ada kemudahan di library. Macam dululah oleh pengalaman masa saya buat PhD tu, masa tu ada beberapa buku yang mana buku tersebut tidak ada di library di Universiti Malaya ni, yang mana saya perlu untuk pergi ke library yang tempat lain tu untuk ambil, dan benda tu susah kan sebab kita student luar dan kita nak masuk ke tempat yang mana library di institusi pengajian lain. Walaupun sekarang ni boleh lah, dulu dia ada kekangan juga. Jadi dia ada satu kemudahan tu, kita pergi ke library, kita cakap buku ni tidak ada UM, buku ni ada di USIM, buku ni ada di UIA, buku ni ada di UKM. Lalu kita buat satu permohonan, pihak library sendiri yang tolong pinjamkan bagi kita. Maksudnya pihak library pergi ke library yang kita request tu, kemudian dia tolong pinjamkan, bawa balik ke library di UM ni. Bila saya pergi ke library UM, ambil pinjam buku tersebut dan tempoh yang diberikan. Kita boleh rujuk, selesai kita hantar ke library UM hantar balik kepada pihak library yang kita kata library asal buku tersebut. Itu ada kemudahan. Saya rasa kalau setakat ni, kalaulah kita kata kemudahan dalam konteks kita nak rujuk pada artikel tu tak boleh, maka kita boleh gunakan peluang tersebut. Okey. Dalam spesialis ataupun dalam bidang yang ada hubung kait dengan Quran hadis ni, yang saya boleh sebutkan antaranya ialah Quranic Studies, this is our field, hadis study, tafsir relate to any kutub tafsir, Jami' al-Bayan from under Imam Tabari, Ibnu Kathir, tafsir Ibnu Kathir, or Al-Qurtubi, Jami' li Ahkam al-Quran al-Qurtubi, or something. I think kutub tafsir pun banyak. Okay, boleh kita bincangkan pelbagai aspek yang ada dalam kitab-kitab tafsir tersebut. Or in Quran and Tajwid, manuskrip. Manuskrip pun I think benda penting juga. We have macam kajian berkaitan dengan manuskrip Quran. One of student from Universiti Malaya, they have graduate I think this year, last year. His research related to we call manuskrip Al-Quran, manuskrip Al-Quran Terengganu. Dia punya kajian tu sangat menarik lah, sebab dia punya kepakaran pengkaji tu, maksud orang yang mengkaji tu dia memang minat betul tentang manuskrip ni. Dia kaji detail satu persatu, dia buat perbandingan beberapa manuskrip yang lain, dan dia punya PhD dia memang kepakaran dalam bidang manuskrip. Sangat bagus dia punya. Siapa yang nak baca tentang kajian manuskrip, boleh saya cadangkan kepada untuk rujuk kepada nama dia Dr. Riswadi. Dr. Riswadi from UMT. Sekarang ni dia berkhidmat di UMT Universiti Malaysia Terengganu tentang kajian manuskrip Al-Quran. Okay, others film Quran and Hadis, Quran and Science, Hadis and Science, Tip Nabawi, Quran Hadis in Technology or System, Software or Apps related to Quran Hadis. Macam contohnya macam kajian about Maktabah Syamilah, kajian about software, about the website that can use to be takhrij hadis, website about the translation of Quran website. The website provide the translation of Quran is correct or something. Kita kata macam dalam kajian terjemahan ni, kadang-kadang ada terjemah yang jatuh kan, kita boleh kaji dia punya website dari segi authority website dan sebagainya. Lepas banyaklah app-apps yang ada dibangunkan sekarang ni. Sebenarnya kita kalau kita perasan, kalau kita perasan kajian-kajian yang ada hubung kait dengan Quran hadis ni banyak dikemukakan. Macam saya ada artikel tu yang masuk, saya rasa Scopus kot, dia punya artikel tu yang mana saya buat coverage dengan apa bidang teknologi maklumat. Dia cuba cari, dia cuba bina satu sistem untuk cek hadis kan. Maksudnya satu kita yang boleh cek hadis tu sama ada melebihi syarat ataupun tidak. Walaupun nampak macam sukar dia buat, tapi dia punya idea tu cantik lah. Kita provide guideline macam hadis, for hadis sahih ni macam mana sekian-sekian. Lalu dia bina satu kerangka dan ada artikel yang dibincangkan hal tersebut. Okey, kemudian ataupun yang relate dengan current issue pun banyak yang boleh kita tulis, khususnya kalau siapa-siapa yang telah buat kajian ataupun dah tulis dalam bidang dia punya masing-masing tu, maka dia ada relate dengan Quran dan hadis saja boleh dihantar. Sebab kita pun sangat menerima. Contoh yang baru ni, yang tahun lepas related to COVID-19 kan, artikel discuss about the COVID-19 from hadis perspective, or hadis about the wabak and apa kita kaitan dengan taun tu, penyakit taun. Jadi dibincangkan hal tersebut dibawa dengan satu apa kaitan dengan isu semasa yang timbul. Contoh ada satu artikel tu dia kaitkan dengan kejadian wabak ataupun timbulnya kita kata apa wabak COVID-19 ni, virus COVID-19 ni disebabkan oleh bintang suraya. Ada satu-satu related dan dia ada hadis-hadis yang dibawakan, lalu dia discuss hadis tersebut relate dengan isu dan dia satu perbincangan yang kita kata current lah kan, sesuai dengan zaman yang ataupun keadaan yang berlaku pada ketika ni. Jadi kita sangat meraihkan hal tersebut sebab kita nak supaya our journal bila terbit sahaja artikel memang ada dia punya sifat current tu kan, current tu sentiasa ada. Kita tak nak hanya fokus pada kita kata apa teori semata-mata, sebab kalau related to Quran dan hadis memang about the theoretical ni sangat banyak lah kan, teori ni, konsep ni memang sangat banyak dan kita tak nak ke situ semata-mata. Seolah macam kalau bila kita menilai satu artikel khususnya di bawah Al-Bayan ni, kita akan lihat adakah si penulis tu sebab kita ada artikel banyak kan, jadi kita nak kena buat syarat-syarat di pihak penilai editor ni. Kita cuba letakkan satu guide yang mana kalau boleh dia bukan hanya membincangkan teori semata-mata, konsep persaudaraan dalam Quran dan hadis. Yang macam tu kita rasa well known kan, maksud semua dah tahu, banyak dah buku dah ada, tak perlu dibawa ke artikel. Tapi kalau dia relatekan dengan masyarakat, dia buat satu kajian study, field study kan, dia pergi jumpa masyarakat, dia kaji masyarakat macam mana pelaksanaan dia ke tatbik, dari segi aspek tatbik ke pelaksanaan, ataupun dari segi kefahaman, kesan dan sebagainya, kita boleh terima yang itu sebab dia tak semata-mata terikat dengan teori, tapi dibawa dalam keadaan yang kekini lah, ada unsur kekinian tu relate dengan apa yang berlaku dalam masyarakat. Itu yang kita sangat harapkan lah kan, sebab relate kepada isu-isu semasa yang berlaku dalam masyarakat. Mungkin yang sekarang ni macam Wallahualam kan, macam kita kata about the Malaysian family, keluarga Malaysia kan. Mungkin boleh tulis tentang keluarga Malaysia tu. Saya ada satu tulis tentang keluarga Malaysia from Quran and Hadis perspective. Tapi susah juga bila kita masuk tu, susah bagaimana nak statekan how yang nak difahami dalam konteks yang sebenar tentang keluarga Malaysia ni from Quran and perspective. Walaupun kita nampak dah dia punya hala tuju tu ke arah persaudaraan, ke arah perpaduan sebagainya kan. Tapi bila nak relate dengan nas ni, kita tak boleh semata-mata relate, kita kena faham konsep yang whole supaya jelas. Dan kalau konsep keluarga Malaysia tu jelas, mungkin kita boleh relate bagaimana nak bawa nas yang mengukuhkan ke ataupun macam mana lah keadaan dia kan. Itu dia satu perbincangan yang betul-betul current lah. Okay. Ataupun yang all related to the Quran and Hadis study. Apa-apa sahaja yang ada hubung kait dengan Quran Hadis study, memang kita welcome artikel tersebut untuk dihantar ke Al-Bayan. Jadi siapa-siapa yang ada dalam program hari ini, Kalaulah artikel dia tu dia rasa ada nak buat kolaborasi ke, kita kata mungkin dia kepakarannya bidang lain kan, bidang lain. Dia boleh collaborate with others, khususnya in Islamic Studies, yang mana dia boleh membantu untuk mengukuhkan perbincangan. Contohlah kita kata dia dah buat kajian tentang buah tin kan. Dia buat kajian buah tin saintifik, problem dan sebagainya. Ada manfaat buah tin tu spesifik penyakit sebagainya. Maka mungkin di pihak Islamic Study ni boleh keluarkan dalil-dalil ataupun perbincangan daripada hadis sebagai contoh ataupun Quran yang membincangkan berkaitan dengan tin itu sendiri, buah-buah tin itu sendiri dan manfaat dia berdasarkan pemahaman nas, Quran dan hadis dan apa yang dibincangkan oleh para ulama. Kemudian dia relatekan dengan kajian sains ataupun makmal yang telah dibuat untuk membuktikan manfaat tu. Jadi dia ada dua kat situ. Maksudnya satu teori yang dipetik dalam Quran hadis yang jelas, dia berdasarkan rujukan yang sesuai. Kemudian dengan proven pembuktian itu berdasarkan kepada kajian sains. Itu kita nampaklah maksudnya aspek hadis and Quran and hadis and relate to the science tu sendiri. Maksudnya ada kajian. Ya, benda tu sangat menarik. Hatta kalau dalam aspek kita kata dalam pembangunan rumah atau pembangunan kan, ada orang bincang berkaitan dengan bagaimana nak bina rumah ikut sunnah. Ni tapi janganlah buat makanan sunnah pula. Sunnah food. Sunnah food tu for me dia tak ada lah kan. Sunnah food ni tidak ada. Walaupun ada disebutkan some bahan tu ada disebutkan dalam Quran dan hadis macam tin, wal zaitun, wal rumman, mutasyabah atau mutasyabih itu habbah bijian kaitan dengan kafura tentang camphor ataupun kita kata kapur barus ataupun lain-lain bahan lagi, habatus saudaknya, madu dan sebagainya lagi itu memang banyak. Tapi walaupun orang Malaysia ni terkenal dan dia kata itu adalah makanan sunnah, pada hakikatnya bila kita faham sebenar daripada nas, daripada apa yang dibincangkan dalam hadis khususnya bab berkaitan dengan makanan, kita dapati Nabi SAW ni dia taklah tekan sangat kena makan benda tersebut. Memang dia sebutkan tentang manfaat dan kelebihan, itu tak dinafikan. Tapi dia taklah nak kata mesti makan benda tu. Tapi kalau kita ada benda lain yang mana ada di Malaysia sahaja, tak ada di Arab, Nabi pun tak pernah makan kan. Macam kita ada buah durian, buah jering, buah genuk, buah apa lagi, ada pudu dan sebagainya tu. Yang mana kita dapati makanan tu halal juga kan. Jadi dalam konteks ni, dia bukan pada jenis makanan tu, sebab Nabi tekankan lebih kepada cara nak makan. Maksudnya cara nak makan, baca bismillah, ambil makanan yang paling dekat. Kemudian kita kata makan jangan gelojoh sangat. Kita jangan membazir dalam makanan, kita makan ikut keperluan. Dan Nabi sebut dalam hadis tu orang Islam ni satu perut, orang kafir 7 perut. Apa dia dibincangkan, maksudnya orang Islam ni makan cukup-cukup saja, tak perlu makan lebih. Kalau kita faham tentang sunnah lagi, kita tak pernah dapati Nabi SAW ni satu hari itu terlalu kenyang, kecuali baginda makan ni cukup-cukup. Itu pun dah sunnah dah. Tapi kita bab nak makan, kita kata nak makan jenis tu, kita makan tu betul. Makan nasi ayam berapa? 3 pinggan sekali makan. Itu tak sunnah dah tu. Walaupun nasi ayam tu kalau baca bismillah makan sunnah dah. Tapi kalau makan sampai 3 pinggan sekali makan, itu dah tak lagi tak lagi kita katakan ikut sunnah dah. Itu just issue lah kan. Okay. And then artikel journal writing and framework. Okay, ini mungkin we will discuss also. For me, from my experience lah kan, berdasarkan apa saja pengalaman saya when kita review any article in English ke, or in Arabic, or in kita kata in Malay ke, maka kita akan rujuk kepada beberapa framework yang biasanya yang kita kata common penilaian yang khususnya di pihak Al-Bayan, ataupun saya pernah nilai artikel dalam satu jurnal teknologi, information technology tu, itu agak tough lah sebab kita pun nak faham dia punya kerangka kan, dan dia bagi kita review dan berapa lama tu, dan saya baca punya guideline dia. Kemudian bila kita review tu ada beberapa perkara yang kadang-kadang tu saya rasa macam betul ke saya boleh review artikel ni, disebabkan dia punya bidang tu agak macam jauh kan. Walaupun saya adalah artikel yang pernah diterbitkan dalam ada relate dengan jurnal tersebut sebelum ni, jadi dia lantik kita sebagai penilai untuk review artikel orang lain pula. walaupun tengok susah tapi ada guideline yang mana yang common, yang kalau kita faham tentang common ni kita boleh komen lah dia berapa cara persembahan dia. Kita biasanya tak komplain pada data yang dia dapat, cuma cara dia nak proses daripada dia tulis persembahkan data tu, daripada awal, daripada penerimaan, daripada introduction sampailah dia dapat dia punya conclusion tu, kita boleh faham flow tu, maka artikel tu kita rasakan artikel yang baik. Okey. Contoh kita kata kat sini kan, okey, artikel framework ni secara kasar ni macam ni lah, secara kasarnya. Sebab dia ada framework dia macam-macam. Secara umumnya kalau kita tengok di sini, saya tengok kan, dia ada introduction, methodology, the back end ataupun the supporting evidence. Dan dekat sini dia adalah punya sub-sub dia yang perlu untuk kita pastikan dalam artikel kita tu, kita katakan satu yang benda yang komplit untuk sebuah artikel yang kita katakan dapat memenuhi dia punya kriteria dalam perbincangan. Yang mana kalau kita ada secara umumnya kan, kita boleh katakan artikel ni dia bukan untuk cover all aspect ataupun bukan nak cover so many objective. Maybe one article they only have one objective or two objective. I think if three objective, that means this master thesis. I think if the three objective, it can be master thesis, or four objective also master thesis. So for article, I think one small objective from our thesis, or maybe cover only one from our objective in our thesis. Maksudnya dalam konteks ni, satu artikel tu tak bolehlah ada satu tujuan yang banyak. Kita hanya kadang-kadang tu kalau kita bajet untuk satu artikel antara 10 ataupun idealnya 15 halaman, kita rasakan 15 halaman tu dah cukup untuk diwakili oleh satu objektif ataupun main objektif dia satu sahaja yang kita fokus, dan dia dah saat-saat kecil dia sahaja, tak perlu sampai nak cover so many objektif kan. Okay, yang pertama sekali sudah pasti kalau dalam kerangka kita menghasilkan artikel ni, tajuk tu nombor satu lah. Title, tajuk tu perlu kita bahasa mudah hanya dalam Melayu kita kata apa, good title lah kan, bahasa Melayu kita Inggeris kita kata good title lah. Bila kita baca tu seolah boleh memberikan satu gambaran yang mana boleh orang pembaca ni, penilaian ni bila baca tajuk, bila dia baca kat dalam nanti dia nampak dah relate antara perbincangan dengan tajuk yang difokuskan. Itu kena jelas, sangat jelas. Kadang-kadang tu dia pengalaman sendiri kan, kita baca tajuk, oh menarik macam ni tajuk, tapi bila masuk ke dalam tu macam kat mana yang kat tajuk yang sebut tadi kan, kita dah sangkakan dalam tajuk tu adalah perkara yang sepatutnya diberikan fokus ataupun dianalisis dalam tajuk tersebut, tapi bila masuk ke dalam dia punya discussion tu ataupun dia punya result tak ada pun, macam lari jauh kan. Mungkin disebabkan kita rasa mungkin the atas tu dia cuba untuk ubah tajuk tu, buat tajuk cantik, tapi disebabkan dia ada hubung kait dengan jurnal tu sendiri. Mungkin jurnal tu nak artikel gaya-gaya macam tu, nak relate dengan skop jurnal, lalu dia buat tajuk padahal kat bawah dia punya perbincangan tu tak ada relate tu dengan Quran dan hadis. Saya pernah terima satu artikel, Al-Bayan pernah terima satu artikel, very dia punya discussion memang bagus lah kan. Cuma yang saya sebutkan tadi, tajuk cantik tapi di dalamnya tu saya ada confused. Maksudnya kita baca, kita rasa macam apa dia bincang sebenarnya ni. Tajuk tu macam tak tally kat mana yang dibincangkan yang sebutkan dalam tajuk. Jadi seolah macam orang tu walaupun artikel dia dari segi persembahannya baik, tetapi dia punya tajuk tu tak ada relate langsung. Ada kadang-kadang kita suggest untuk dia tukar tajuk kalau dia still dalam bidang, dia ada still dalam bidang. Kalau kadang-kadang tu tajuk tu dia cuba masuk ke dalam bidang, tapi dia punya discussion tak ada kaitan dengan bidang. Yang ni macam saya sebutkan tadi, kadang-kadang tu si Atas ni dalam dia punya introduction dia sebut Quran says that, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that, itu sebagai introduction saja. Kemudian masuk pada dia punya discussion, dia result tak ada relate langsung berkaitan dengan Quran dan hadis yang dibincang kat atas tu. Dia lebih kepada mungkin satu teori ekonomi, walaupun dia teori ekonomi tapi dia tak relate langsung dengan perbahasan teori ekonomi daripada hadis ke daripada sunnah. Dia bincang teori ekonomi yang luar daripada kerangka tu. Jadi walaupun artikel tu nampak dari segi perbincangannya cantik, tajuknya tu tak match langsung, kemudian dia punya fokus tu tidak memenuhi kriteria, yang mana kita katakan ada hubung kain langsung dengan kita punya bidang fokus yang dibawa oleh jurnal Al-Bayan ni secara khususnya. Okey, itu yang pertama tentang title. Yang kedua adalah berkaitan dengan abstract. Okey, ini kalau berkaitan dengan abstract, memang ini pun tak boleh dinafikan juga sangat penting. When we read, when we as a reviewer, we will read abstract first, title and the abstract. How the abstract describe about the article. So adalah beberapa guideline yang mana kita katakan perlu ada dalam abstract. Macam kita kata, kalau kita boleh saya sebutkan kan, kalau saya sebagai penilai, saya ada dalam lima perkara yang perlu ada dalam abstract. 5 things must be in our abstract. Yang pertama, the firstly introduction. Introduction ni that's mean about what the article is what about, or the introduction about the topic that you want to discuss in this article. Maybe in one sentence or two sentence only. Dia bukanlah panjang sangat kan, dia satu atau dua ayat sahaja. Kemudian the second next tu kita akan tengok what is the aim of the article. Dan abstract dia akan sebut artikel ini bertujuan untuk sekian-sekian. The focus in the article is sekian-sekian. Maksudnya sama ada the aim or the focus discussion of the article is how untuk apa sekian-sekian. Itu biasanya mesti kita akan cari ada dalam abstract. Dan yang the third ialah berkaitan dengan the methodology. What's methodology used in this article for analyze ke ataupun untuk collect data ke? Kita akan tengok dalam dia punya this article use methodology of dia just one simple discussion describe about the methodology. Bukan nak jelaskan sebab nanti dalam artikel tu nanti kita ada dia punya rangka tu bagaimana dia perlu jelaskan dengan lebih lanjut berkaitan dengan metodologi itu sendiri. Dan yang keempat ialah the result, yang mana bila kita bincangkan abstrak itu sendiri, maka dalam abstrak itu kita kena padatkan satu perbincangan yang mana kita menyebutkan tentang hasil dapatan kajian kita. The result of the studies from daripada abstrak itulah, daripada kajian yang kita buat tu, kita ringkaskan berdasarkan perbincangan tajuk ni ada 5 perkara yang diberikan penekanan ataupun 5 hasilnya. Satu kita senaraikan satu point, just a point kan, maksudnya bukanlah perlu dihuraikan panjang, just point-point yang mana mewakili 5 dapatan kajian tersebut yang ada dalam artikel tu. Dan habis tu yang terakhir sekali ialah poin yang kelima yang perlu ada dalam abstrak ialah conclusion. Conclusion maksudnya kesimpulan, just simple word ataupun simple sentence, one sentence atau two sentence, ataupun kalau tak kesimpulan pun kita kata kita bagi suggestion, maksudnya daripada hasil kajian result yang kita dapat tu we suggest some bla 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 bla. Maksudnya kita cadangkanlah apa satu, macam kita kata kita menghasilkan satu model ni dah hasil, lalu dicadangkan model ini untuk diaplikan bla 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 gitulah, ataupun dapatan ini boleh dimanfaatkan bla 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 bla. Maksudnya kita ada kita panggil apa, future forward lah daripada hasil kajian ni, dia menampakkan kepada satu dapatan yang boleh di-apply ke, akan datang ke untuk manfaat yang kemudian dan sebagainya lagi. Itu dia menarik tau. Kita baca abstract ni, dia baca tajuk, dia nampak relate dah. Yang tu benda tu first impression lah bagi mana-mana reviewer pun. Pasti dia akan baca abstract dulu untuk pastikan bahawa dia mencakupi ataupun apa yang dijelaskan dalam abstrak itu menggambarkan apa yang ada dalam tajuk dan apa yang akan dibincangkan seterusnya dalam perbincangan yang berikutnya tu di bawah tu. Okey, itu berkaitan dengan is related to the abstract. Kemudian the third is about introduction. Okey, dalam abstrak dalam artikel kita framework ni framework kan. Automatically introduction ni sebagai satu permulaan kan. Introduction, apabila melibatkan introduction ni, kita boleh menggambarkan ataupun menjelaskan tentang kita kata apa yang kita cuba nak ketengahkan ataupun apa yang kita nak bincangkan daripada artikel yang kita nak buat tu. Kita dah ada tajuk, kita dah dapat dia punya view dia, fokusnya kita dah ada, topiknya kita dah ada dia punya subjek yang kita nak kaji tu dah ada. Jadi kita mulakan tu dengan menjelaskan apa yang kita nak hendaki pada tajuk ataupun sebagai permulaan yang perlu kita sentuh. Okey, kita kalau boleh elak daripada bermula dengan sesuatu yang terlalu umum. Terlalu umum ni macam kita kata apa? Dia nak bincangkan berkaitan dengan sihir dalam Quran. Contohnya kita kata sihir dalam Quran ataupun apa-apalah yang ada hubung kait dengan alam perubatan Islam kan. Dia ambil pada awal tu, Al-Quran adalah sumber kedua syariat Islam. Dia Quran yang tak dipertikaikan, Nabi ni tak bercakap atas hawa nafsu. Jadi dia satu tu dah habis sampai 5-6 perenggan dah kan. Tak masuk tajuk lagi. Last kali yang perenggan yang ke-8 ke-10 tu dah baru masuk kata dalam Quran ada disebutkan tak perlu. Tak perlu kita nak bermula pada peringkat awal daripada kronologi tu kan. Kita just masuk terus pada subjek tu. Sihir ialah bla 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 bla. Menurut ni bla 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 terus. Ataupun yang menarik lagi, kita kata perbincangan dalam introduction ni kita jadikan dia melalui apa yang kita telah analisis daripada LR kita. Maksudnya introduction ni mulakan dengan satu perenggan yang simple sebagai subjek utama, kemudian terus masuk ke perbincangan yang kita petik pada literature review. Ini sangat menarik. Maksudnya dia telah menilai beberapa literature review yang ada, lalu dikupas dan dalam introduction ni telah menggambarkan wujudnya, kita kata apa, satu masalah kan, ada satu masalah yang akan dibincangkan dalam artikel ni. Ataupun dalam introduction tu telah menggambarkan apa yang dikehendaki yang akan dibincangkan seterusnya dalam artikel ni, akan dinilai dan sebagainya. Jadi penting sebenarnya kalau introduction ni bila kita baca, walaupun kadang-kadang tu ada juga saya tengok dalam setengah artikel, dia mulakan dengan introduction yang simple, maksudnya direct pada subjek dia, kemudian dia buat subtajuk. Maksudnya di depan introduction ni ada satu subtajuk yang mana dia terus masuk kepada subjek dia punya kajian. Contoh macam tadi kata sihir dalam Quran tu, bila introduction dia buat umum dalam satu ataupun dua paragraf sahaja. Kemudian terus masuk pada subjek dia, konsep sihir bla 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 bla. Kemudian macam ni ada beberapa ayat, dia terus maksudnya dijadikan satu subtopik yang selepas introduction. Itu pun tak ada masalah. Itu menarik juga sebab dia jadikan subjek dia tu untuk diulaskan terlebih dahulu supaya orang boleh, pembaca ni boleh faham apa yang dia nak dikaji. Subjek kajian tu telah difahami. Okey, itu dari segi introduction. Jadi bolehlah kita buat introduction yang panjang berdasarkan penilaian LR tu sendiri. Kemudian masuk pada konsep ataupun subjek yang kita nak kaji. Kemudian yang seterusnya masuk kepada skop dan juga metodologi. Yang tadi kita dah sebut kan, dekat abstrak tu dah ada, tapi ungkapan dalam abstrak ialah ungkapan yang ringkas dan padat. Jadi kita kena huraikan balik apa yang telah kita sebutkan dalam abstrak tu disebutkan dalam topik yang berkaitan dengan skop dan metodologi. Jadi artikel ni, kita kata artikel ni hanya akan memfokuskan tentang sekian melalui kajian lapangan sekian daripada sekian subjek sekian kan. Itu yang dipakai ialah kita huraikan metodologi tu supaya orang boleh faham daripada proses kita ambil data dan kita analisis data, apa yang kita pakai, tool apa yang kita pakai dan sebagainya, jelas kat situ. Jadi bila orang baca nanti yang next, sebab dia ada flow tu jelas maksudnya apa yang dihuraikan tu dia akan wujud selepas ni, akan dibuktikan selepas ni. After we describe the methodology, we describe the scope in the item of the scope and methodology, kita akan dapat dia punya result. Apa yang dibincangkan result tu memang telah dijelaskan dalam metodologi. Kat sini banyak saya sangkut lah. Kadang-kadang dia punya ada artikel Arab lah, bahasa Arab kan. Arab ni memang kadang-kadang kita baca artikel tu, kita baca artikel ke baca proposal. Biasa macam tu. Arab kalau yang Arab artikel Arab, kita baca artikel ke baca proposal. Sebab dia punya muqaddimah dia, kemudian mushkilah al-bahs ada, kemudian ahdaful bah, maksudnya tujuan objektif, ada 1, 2, 3 asilah tulbah, soalan kajian pun ada. Kemudian dia punya hudud sulbah berkaitan dengan skop dia ada. Tapi bila tengok yang ni macam objektif sampai 3, kerana objektif sampai 4, kata satu artikel tapi nak objektif sampai 4, maka kita akan komen banyak lah sebab dia tak perlu pun untuk dipanjangkan. Yang penting satu perbincangan dalam skop ni ataupun dalam skop dan metodologi ni, satu perbincangan yang boleh menjelaskan dan menggambarkan fokus kita pada tajuk tu dah menggambarkan fokus kita hala ke mana. Kemudian kita punya metodologi tu jelas untuk diberi kefahaman pada orang yang menilai tu. Dia baca, oh faham, dia faham. Okey, kuantitatif macam ni, pakai kaedah macam ni, analisis macam ni. Okay, dia just satu huraian yang mana dia ada signifikan dengan nanti apa melibatkan kepada result yang dapat tu. Okey, habis yang tu. Kemudian yang berikutnya, masuk kepada result. Okey, bila kita dah jelaskan metodologi skop, jadi benda tu dah jelas. Kita dah tahu introduction-nya, kita dah terang dia punya subjeknya, kemudian kita tahu hala tuju skop ni ke mana, metodologi yang dipakai, automatik terus masuk pada result. Sebab artikel tak perlu nak hurai macam proposal ataupun kita kata apa macam tesis kan. Tesis lagi detail. Artikel ni seolah macam kita kajian telah dibuatkan, telah dijalankan, kita akan mendedahkan kepada result. Result tu jelaskan hasil kajian ni satu tentang apa, subjek. Berdasarkan Quran ni, yang contoh kita kata tadi, tentang sihir dalam Quran. Sihir dalam Quran ni, okay, ayat-ayat sihir tentang Quran. Kita dah, tu hasil dapatan tu, kita dah analisis tadi. Kita ambil daripada Quran ada berapa contoh ayat. Kita mungkin buat table sebagainya, kita huraikan dalam Quran ni ada 100 ayat tentang sihir. Tapi pada satu ayat ni, dia ada berapa, boleh dibahagikan kepada berapa bahagian. Satu yang menyebutkan tentang penyakit, satu tentang mukjizat, satu berkaitan dengan tipu helah, satu berkaitan dengan apa al-bayan, panggil sihir tu. Nabi sebut inna ba'dal bayan la sihran kan, bayan dan lain-lain lagi. Maksudnya kita dah tahu daripada ekstrak Quran tu kita dapat satu ayat ni boleh dibagi pada 5 tema. Itu hasil kita lah. Okey, hasil yang kedua tu baru ayat kan. Hasil yang kedua kita tengok, kita nak fokuskan kepada subjek utama kita, sihir tu tentang sihir sihir penyakit yang melibatkan penyakit. Dan penyakit ni kita ambil per ayat. Ayat yang menyatakan sihir penyakit itu dibawakan perbincangan, kemudian kita melihat kepada rujukan kepada karya-karya tafsir ataupun karya-karya yang mensyarahkan hadis yang berkaitan dengan tersebut. Ada tafsir hadis kan. Ada apa hadis yang mentafsirkan ayat sebagainya, kita bincangkan. Bawa dia punya discussion yang daripada dapatan yang kita petik daripada karya-karya tafsir ke, fiqh dan sebagainya, hukum hakam sebagainya lah kan, kita bawa ke situ. Kemudian yang lain boleh masuk lagi apa yang nak discusskan. Yang ni yang maksudnya nanti kata apa yang result yang kita dapat, hasil penelitian kita daripada sumber yang kita dapat tu, lalu kita masukkan resultnya. Okey, maksudnya kita dah dedahkan satu persatu. Sama ada satu result ke, dalam tu dia pecah-pecah, ataupun 2 result, pecahan-pecahan lagi, ataupun 3 result, dia pecah-pecah lagi. Jadi dia bergantung kepada apa yang kita fokuskan. Okey, jadi dalam result ni dia tengoklah apa yang kita dapat. Contoh kalau kita buat kajian lapangan, kita kaji tentang keberkesanan ke, about the effectiveness ke, tentang keberkesanan ataupun pengaruh ke, ataupun apa-apa yang melibatkan kajian lapangan. Mungkin kat sini data-data yang kita dapat daripada soal sidik yang telah dibuat. Segi kita panggil bahagian awal tu berapa orang, jumlah sebagainya, dia prosedur lah. Maksudnya hasil yang kita dah dapat daripada setiap item yang kita analisis tu. Okey, bila dah jelas result tu, maksudnya kita dah buat kajian, kita dah dapat dia punya result untuk artikel ataupun kajian yang kita dapat tersebut. Okey, daripada result tersebut, yang ni biasa banyak saya jumpa. Biasanya artikel yang menarik tu buat macam ni, dia ada artikel, title, sampai result ni tiba-tiba kesimpulan. Itu saya jumpa sangat banyak artikel. Yang mana kita dapati artikel dia buat tu cantik pada awal. Ada tajuk cantik, abstract cantik, introduction cantik, scope dah ada jelas, result ada, sama discussion tak ada. Yang ni satu lagi lah, maksudnya bila kita baca satu artikel, kadang-kadang tu kita nak juga kita kata on behalf authors tu ataupun on behalf researcher tu, bila dia dah buat kajian, dia dah dapat hasil data tu, apa di pihak perspektif dia kan. Maksudnya apa yang dia nak kemukakan dalam dapatan yang dia dapat tu. Macam tadilah kalau kita katakan dia discuss about the sorcery ataupun sihir tu, maka dalam Quran memang dah jelas ada. Kemudian dalam sisi perbincangan ulama pun dah dijelas tentang ayat-ayat sihir tersebut kan. Kemudian apa yang nak discusskan lepas tu? Apa yang dapatan lepas tu, apa lagi yang kita nak relatekan dengan perbincangan ni? Yang dalam perbincangan ni sebenarnya kita boleh tentukan, sebab kita bila dah buat kajian, kita nak kaitkan perbincangan tu dengan apa. Okay, dalam konteks ni kita mungkin bawa kepada realiti masyarakat. Okay, masyarakat kata-kata dalam Al-Quran tu tentang sihir banyak. Jadi bila kita nak discuss, kita sihir dalam masyarakat yang mana ada relate dengan Quran dan hadis kan. Jadi dalam konteks ni kita tengok dalam masyarakat banyak. Orang buat kajian pun tentang ni banyak. Kita boleh relatekan dengan apa isu-isu yang wujud dalam masyarakat dalam kita punya discussion. Ataupun adalah kita nak kaitkan dengan akta ke, dengan undang-undang ke, dengan hal berkaitan dengan sekolah ke, dari segi program pendidikan ke, apa-apa yang kita fokuskan dalam kajian kita tu, kita boleh discuss kat sini. Maksudnya seolah macam bila kita telah buat kajian lapangan seperti contoh macam tadi ni, kita dah buat tentang keberkesanan. Jadi dalam discussion tu kita dah dapatan data memang dah tunjuk dia berkesan atau tak berkesan kan. Di dalam discussion ni kita kena hurai balik tu. Kita kena jelaskan balik dalam keberkesanan ni kita boleh bagi sebab dasarkan kita mungkin dah tambahkan data kita. Program ini tidak berkesan disebabkan oleh dasarkan pemerhatian pengkaji kita dapati, kita pergi tengok kan, kita dah buat kajian, kita pergi tengok balik, mungkin sebab sambutan ataupun masyarakat tu tak faham apa yang dia bawa daripada program tersebut. Dia masyarakat masih perlu kepada satu pendedahan lain sebelum dia nak terlibat dengan program tu. Jadi kalau duk buat program tu banyak kali pun masyarakat still bila sebab masyarakat tak ada di pengetahuan tu. Jadi situ yang kita buat discussion balik tu. Kita discuss balik, kita nak kita boleh bagi cadangan, penambahbaikan. Jadi artikel tu dia tak seolah macam kita katakan dapat result, tiba habis, conclude. Berdasarkan perbincangan result yang hasil kajian mendapati bahawa program ini tidak berkesan. Mana dia? Apa lagi? Kita tertunggu-tunggu tau daripada apa yang dibincangkan. Kita tertunggu-tunggu apa yang dia nak sarankan. Apa yang dia nak kemukakan dalam satu, kita kata idea kan, idea baharu. Sebab dalam discussion ni, seolah kita katakan seorang pengkaji tu, bila dia buat kajian, dia dapat hasil, seolah dia boleh mencadangkan sesuatu baru. Dia akan bagi satu cadangan baharu untuk penambahbaikan ke, untuk kajian lanjutan ke, untuk ke arah yang penambahbaikan lagi ke, macam-macam lah keadaan. Discussion ni dia bukanlah nak kata kita terikat sangat, tapi kita boleh berdasarkan data yang kita dapat tu, kita boleh mempuraikan dan mengembangkan sesuai dengan realiti kajian kita tu macam mana. Tu dia punya pentingnya discussion tu. Kalau yang ni saya tengok memang banyak lah kan. Saya perasan juga kalau artikel yang bahasa Arab memang kadang-kadang bahasa Arab tu dia ada panggil khulasah, dia tausiyat. Tentang tausiat tu dia adalah dia punya 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kadang-kadang sampai 10, 20 pun ada dia bagi dia punya idea tu banyak kan. Kita tak nak sangat, kita nak supaya satu discussion yang relate terus kepada topik yang dibincangkan berdasarkan tajuk kita dan apa hasil yang kita telah dapat untuk didiskuskan. Yang ni kalau saya tengok, kalau kebanyakan pengalaman duk kita hantar punya artikel, mana-mana jurnal yang kita rasa adalah yang ada index kan. Yang ni item-item yang biasanya akan dinilai dan nanti kata dia tengok ada tak benda ni. Sebab dia tak nak supaya apa yang dibincangkan tu dia hanya sekadar satu fasa saja. Seolah macam kita dapat terus, next tu apa? Next di pihak pengkaji yang mengkaji tu, dia juga kena turut memberikan pandangan di pihak dia. Yang tu yang kita katakan dalam discussion ni seolah macam itu adalah dari segi perspektif penulis ataupun pengkaji itu sendiri, from authors or from researcher perspektif. Sebab dia buat kajian, dia yang lakukan kajian tu, maka dia dah tengok secara realitinya, jadi dia boleh bagi cadangan untuk ke arah yang lebih baik. Sebab hasil tu dah ada kan. Jadi yang ni sangat menarik lah. Bahkan kalau kita kadang-kadang tu bila kita baca yang discussion ni, kita boleh dapat satu idea baharu lah. Idea baharu dalam aspek ni, dia telah bagi cadangan ataupun kita boleh jadi dia sebagai satu model ataupun kita katakan kerangka yang dia buat ni boleh apply untuk kerangka orang lain pula dalam topik yang lain, tapi kerangka dia membantu kita untuk faham. Itu biasanya yang itulah kita boleh manfaatkan kepada hak orang lain. Kemudian yang berikutnya conclusion ni lebih kepada satu kesimpulan yang menggambarkan keseluruhan. Ini pun satu lagi yang biasa saya jumpa conclusion tiba-tiba dalam 2 ayat pendek je. Kita bincang kat atas lumayan panjang kan, tiba-tiba conclusion satu ayat ataupun dua ayat, bagi panjang sikit lah. Maksudnya kita akan komen kenapa conclusion ni pendek sangat kan, kenapa very short conclusion. At least kita kata bila dalam conclusion tu kita bagilah satu overview balik dan buat satu ketetapan di pihak kita sebagai orang yang mengkaji ataupun orang yang melakukan kajian tu sendiri. Okay, sorry, buatlah pula. Kemudian yang berikutnya referen. Referen ni tak apalah. Referen ni apa-apa yang ada hubung kait dengan topik dan juga appendix jika ada kaitan. Jadi kanker dia macam ni lah. Dia punya body besar dia, introduction, metodologi. Yang punya result ni yang kita nak dapatkan. Maksudnya kalau kita nak secara detailnya, kita ambil yang sebelah ni lah. Yang biasanya saya sendiri pun, kalau kita buat artikel, walaupun jurnal yang biasa pun, kita akan cuba follow step ni supaya kita nampak dia punya flow ketika mana menyediakan satu artikel yang lengkap, walaupun bahasa Melayu ke ataupun apa, kita akan nampak dia punya flow tu menarik kan. Kat sini saya tak sebut lah berkaitan dengan macam keyword tu. Keyword tu nanti memang secara automatically perlu kita pilih juga, sebab setengah jenis dia minta keyword dan setengah jenis dia tak minta. Jadi bergantung, kalau nak letak keyword tu kita pilih lah sesuai berdasarkan topik yang kita bincangkan. Okey, kita ada 5 minit. Okey, next. Untuk penyediaan artikel pula, untuk kita menulis artikel, sebenarnya dia tak susah lah kan. Kita boleh buat saja, kita boleh prepare saja mana-mana artikel yang kita rasa di pihak kita tu. Cuma kita ada beberapa perkara yang kita perlu pastikan. Yang pertama, kita kena ikut framework. Maksudnya kita ada framework tadi tu sebagai contoh ya. Ini sebagai contoh di pihak saya biasa menulis. Kalau yang lain tu mungkin ada teori-teori yang lain yang boleh di-apply, silakan, tidak ada masalah. Sebab kadang-kadang tu bidang Islamic study macam biasanya macam ni lah kan. Yang lain tu mungkin sains dia ada beza sikit ke, kena jelaskan dia punya metod ke, dia punya instrumen dan sebagainya lagi kan. Yang tu tengok berdasarkan pada kita punya nature kajian tu sendiri. Tapi kalau dalam konteks biasanya kita kena pastikan well preparing the article and writing based on framework yang sesuai. Kemudian pastikan flow and continuous discussion. Sebab kita nak nampak tadi saya sebutkan, dia ada introduction, dia ada scope and methodology, ataupun introduction, dia ada dia punya conceptual, dia tu theoretical daripada LR dan sebagainya, kemudian masuk kepada scope and methodology, kemudian result, kemudian discussion dia, then conclusion. Itu dia flow dia. Kalau kita baca yang ni, kita akan nampak dia punya quality artikel tu bagus lah. Maksudnya orang yang prepare tu dia jelas, dia faham dan dia nampak dia punya hubung kait antara satu topik dengan topik yang lain. Okey, kemudian yang berikutnya, make sure to follow guideline. Every journal have own format. Yang ini kita faham. Every journal, sebab tu saya tekankan awal-awal tadi, bila kita rasakan artikel kita ni sesuai dengan jurnal tersebut, secara automatically we must download the guideline from that journal. Maksudnya every journal dia ada guideline yang berbeza-beza. Jadi yang tu memang kita kena khatam. Kalau boleh kita cuba sediakan artikel itu mengikut guideline yang telah diberikan. Kadang-kadang tu biasalah editor kan. Editor ni kadang-kadang dia reject tu bukan disebabkan artikel tu tak berkualiti, tapi dia tengok artikel tu serabut kepala kan. Dia tengok ya Allah banyak kerja lagi nak buat ni. Jadi dia tak suka lah. At least bila datang artikel tu seolah macam first impression from editor ni yang terima artikel tu, tengok oh secara umumnya dia nampak narik, kemas sebagainya, diikut dia punya guideline. Itu dia punya first impression. Mungkin dia nanti akan baca. Baca tu sama ada tolak tu tak tahu lagi kan. Tapi dalam konteks ni dia dah ada minat untuk membaca. Bila datang saja artikel yang dengan masalahnya, kadang-kadang font dan larinya, kemudian termasuk lagi yang Arabiknya, tunggal langgang sebagainya, maka yang tu memberikan satu tusukan lah di hati kan. Sakit hati nak baca. Kita dah banyak nak baca, tiba-tiba baca tu sakit hati. Jadi automatically dia reject dulu lah. Minta hantar balik, suruh dia baki balik sebagainya. Kadang-kadang kita komen banyak juga untuk dia baki yang format dulu sebelum dia hantar. Dan kadang-kadang kita hantar balik dengan reply tu dengan guideline, supaya follow guideline dulu barulah hantar balik. Itu memang biasalah sebab kita bukan terima direct kan. Maksudnya kita kena bagi panduan pada penulis tu. Tak nafikan yang tu. Kemudian yang berikutnya the language, dari segi sudut bahasa tu sendiri. Bahasa ni saya tengok sangat penting juga. Biasanya di pihak editor yang membaca ni, dia akan tengok segi kadar bahasa. Yang bahasa Inggeris tu biasanya bahasa Inggeris kan. Kita ada relatif dan lain-lain tu yang memang bila baca artikel tu dia akan nilai tengok oh artikel ni okey, bahasanya okey. Biasanya ada komen buat berkaitan dengan bahasa. Kalau boleh, kalau kita boleh sediakan artikel tu, kalau kita tak berapa expert macam saya ni kan, tak boleh expert bahasa Inggeris, tulis bahasa Inggeris, tulis. Cuma bahasa Inggeris tu dia bahasa Inggeris macam kampung sikit lah kan. Dia ala-ala Malaysia. Jadi kita hantar dululah pada mana-mana editor ataupun orang yang boleh buat proofread bahasa Inggeris tu untuk dia baiki bahasa tu. Sebab bahasa kadang-kadang kita baca faham dah. Kita baca faham lah, orang lain baca tak faham. Itu biasa lah kan. Tak apa, dia jangan risau lah. Kita bagi sahaja untuk kita keluarkanlah certain money sikit untuk approve dia bahasa Inggeris. Pengalaman saya yang terbit dengan General Religion and Health tu, yang tu sampai bukan sekali tau. Bukan sekali kita hantar artikel tu untuk proofread bahasa Inggeris saja. Bukan sekali. Sampai 3-4 kali untuk satu artikel tu. Saya hantar, saya ingat saya habis berapa, banyak ratus lah juga. Yang first tag tu dah hantar. Kemudian dia komen, dia komen kata English tak strong. Kemudian ada item-item yang dia rasa macam nak reject. Tapi dia still boleh terima lagi. Kita baiki apa yang komen, ikut review komen tu hantar balik. Lepas tu last kali yang komen yang last saya keempat saya ingat. Dia kata bahasa tak sedap lagi. Oh, kita pening kepala dah kan. Bahasa tak sedap lagi kata. Tak English lagi. English macam mana lagi tu? Jadi yang last kali final stage dia tanya dia ada tak editor di pihak dia sendiri. Jadi kita kena tanya, kita hantar pada dia tu editor dia yang dia recommend. Kita bayar pada editor yang dia recommend. Barulah lepas artikel tu. Itu kali yang keempat saya rasa 4 kali 5 kali baca lah untuk satu stage satu artikel lah tu. Sebab tu ambil masa saya rasa artikel tu dekat 2 tahun jugalah untuk sebab stage kena reject banyak kali kan. Reject tapi dia reject dia kata if we reject tapi if you baiki kita boleh review balik. Kemudian reject lagi if you baiki sampailah dia kita meraihkan dia. Sampai yang last kali tu saya tengok yang lawak lah juga kan. Bahasa Inggeris dia kata is not English lagi dia kata lepas saya faham lah rupanya dia nak supaya editor dia yang baiki sendiri. Editor bahasa Inggeris dia sendiri yang baiki. Kita bayarlah untuk dia punya tu kan. Tak apalah. At least dia terima. Okey sikit lagi ya.
Okey.
Saya habiskan dalam 3 minit ya. Sikit ya.
Okey. Baik.
Okey, yang lain merit untuk Al-Bayan pula. Kalau untuk penerimaan yang biasa kita nilai, dia tengok dari segi experience kan. Kita dah tetapkan artikel tu mesti follow instruction, kemudian the original artikel, benda yang baru lah. Not under publication, kita akan tanya ni dia dah hantar mana-mana jurnal ke tidak. Kemudian scope memang satu benda yang sangat penting. Dia very important lah. Scope mesti relate to the Quran and Hadis. Kemudian language, title, clear, specific and interesting yang mesti saya sebutkan tadi juga. Kemudian abstract juga dia bagikan segi apa dia punya introduction ataupun cara guideline untuk disediakan abstract. Ada important problem, objektif. Kadang-kadang tu kita boleh sebutkan masalah daripada dalam introduction tu. Pengenalan awal, kemudian masuk pada objektif dia, new result, ada metodologi. Benda ni mesti ada dijelaskan dalam abstract. Kemudian yang berikutnya keyword, mesti pilihlah keyword dalam for Al-Bayan I think 5 keyword at least. Kemudian the main text should be well organized. Dia dah yang ni kena baca dia punya guideline Al-Bayan tu yang macam mana nak organizekan paragraf yang pertama, topik yang pertama, subtopik yang pertama, subtopik yang kedua. Jadi dia dah ada dia punya guideline tu. Sebab tu saya tengok kalau saya sebutkan tadi kan, every journal they have own guideline, so must read the guideline to make sure our article can be accepted lah untuk dia first review kan, for the first review. Okay. Kemudian Al-Bayan juga sebut dia kata we have there should be new contribution. Yang ni juga benda yang penting lah sebab tu kita dalam Al-Bayan khususnya kita tak nak lagi rujuk kepada artikel yang kita rasa dia based on teori semata-mata kan. Konseptual tu sebab kita nak tengok pada move forward lah, pada apply lebih pada kajian lapangan dan sebagainya yang menampakkan kepada satu benda baru. Okey, kemudian dari segi aspek plagiarism tu memang akan diberikan penekanan, memang ni sangat penting lah. Kadang-kadang tu kita tengoklah juga orang tu plagiarism kan ada dia punya turning in tu, kita boleh semak kan. Kita tengok dah terbit mana-mana tempat dan sebagainya. Kemudian yang berikutnya, the concluding remark should any focus and new result should be present in paragraph not point. Yang ni dia dah ada guideline dia, kena baca dia punya macam mana nak persembahkan kita punya data tu. Kemudian the different and footnote sama juga sebab kita di Al-Bayan kita memang prefer footnote. Jadi dia adalah gaya penulisan rujukan di dalam footnote tersebut. Tu boleh baca dia punya guideline dia. Kemudian not English word should be translated correctly. Yang satu lagi, perkataan yang dalam bahasa Arab, di mana kalaulah seorang tu dia ada kepakaran bahasa Arab, dia nak tulis artikel dalam bahasa Arab, nak submit ke Jurnal Al-Bayan, semua nota kaki mesti ditranslasikan. Tak boleh kekal dalam font Arabik tu. Dia mesti ditukar kepada font translasi. Maksudnya dieja dalam bumi lah kan. Mengikut kaedah translasi tu supaya ni dia pada guideline sendiri yang ditetapkan oleh Braille. Dia tak nak supaya semuanya Arabik. Teks dia Arabik tapi rujukan reference tu mesti semua dalam bentuk tulisan Rumi yang mana dalam bentuk translasi itu sendiri. Kemudian dia minta supaya tajuk, title dan juga abstract tu dan juga keyword, tiga benda ni mesti dalam bahasa Inggeris. Ada satu terjemahan dalam bahasa Inggeris. Maksudnya dia ada yang bahasa Arab, kemudian dia dua bahasa lah kan. Dua bahasa maksudnya dalam bahasa Inggeris ataupun bahasa kalau bahasa Melayu mesti bawa bahasa Inggeris. Title dan juga abstract itu sendiri. Yang bahasa Arab pun juga sama juga. Satu bahasa Arab, teks bahasa Arab, abstract bahasa Arab dan juga abstract bahasa Inggeris dan juga tajuk dia sekali. Okey. Kemudian yang lain, isu sekarang ni, isu yang kita raise sekarang ni, kalau Al-Bayan kita prefer case study ataupun advanced study, macam kita buat interview ke, kualitatif lah kan. Yang ni boleh lah, siapa-siapa yang ada buat perbincangan kalau di UTM ni ada psychology ke education ke yang ada related to Quran hadis, saya persilakan untuk hantar ke Jurnal Al-Bayan. Kita memang ke arah nak up to date lah kan, maksudnya perbincangan tu lebih kepada semasa. Kemudian siapa-siapa yang nak submit artikel bolehlah submit ke direct. Kita tidak ada sistem open, kita panggil apa, submission tu kan, maksudnya yang manuskrip submission yang biasa jurnal pakai tu, kita still proses manual. Sebab kita dah baru ni kita dah maklum kepada pihak Braille untuk buat sistem tu, tapi pihak Braille masih dindong-dindong. Jadi kita sekarang ni proses Al-Bayan, memang siapa artikel, dia sediakan artikel ikut guideline, kemudian just submit by email to the albayanjournal@um.edu.my. Nanti editor dia akan proses lah, maksudnya dia ada proses. Dan siapa yang hantar tu jangan harap untuk reply cepat lah, segera lah kan. Maybe ambil kadang-kadang sebulan, sebab kita base kepada kita ada dia punya kita punya tahap dia tu. Artikel tu akan dikumpulkan dalam satu tempoh, kemudian di meeting, kemudian dihantar review, kemudian barulah diproses. Maksudnya kadang-kadang ambil dalam 2 bulan, 3 bulan untuk reply dan sebagainya. Kalau reject tu, biasanya reject tu disebabkan selepas penilaian lah. Maksudnya kalau kadang-kadang tu diterima, kemudian diterima tengok artikel tak elok, editor akan terus reject lah, sebab kita tak boleh terima kalau artikel tu teruk sangat, tak ikut skop dan sebagainya. Kita sangat betul-betul jaga skop. Kita tak boleh lah kalau tiba-tiba artikel tu teknologi tak ada kaitan langsung, tiba-tiba masuk cerita tentang daun ketum, kan, manfaat daun ketum, tiba-tiba nak dibincangkan dalam Al-Bayan, macam tak ada relate. Yang tu memang kita tolak lah kan, sebab dia tak ada relate dengan skop Quran dan hadis tu sendiri. Jadi itu sahaja pada perbincangan hari ini. Ini just hanya flow sahaja. Kalau slide tu ada, boleh tengoklah flow ni bila kita submit sampai nak terima tu macam mana, dia proses dia satu-satu. Yang kalau merah ni dia reject, maksudnya satu langkah tu dia reject. Sebab apa? Sebab biasanya ada masalah di segi tak ada respon dan sebagainya. Itulah. Okey, itu sahaja untuk pada hari ini. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Kita mohon maaf jika terlajak masa. Allahuakbar.
Okay. Terima kasih Doktor. Banyak information dia, very interesting information that all the reviewer and also I believe all the student particular very hope they get something knowledge and how to submit it to Al-Bayan. So Doktor, in dalam chat we have around question. So the first question, Assalamualaikum Doktor, bolehkah result dan discussion digabungkan dalam satu subtopik? Maksudnya dalam satu point result terus dibincangkan.
Kalau macam tu boleh. Saya tengok ada artikel yang memang dia jelas lah, maksudnya dia jelaskan dia punya result terus discussion. Result discussion. Tu pun boleh juga. Base sebab dia nature ni dia tengok dia punya perbincangan. Tapi yang penting dua benda tu mesti ada lah. Dia jangan tak ada langsung. Sebab saya tengok yang biasa hantar tu, dia hanya hantar result sahaja, tapi discussion tak ada. Sedangkan kita tertunggu-tunggu discussion tu. Dia kadang-kadang satu discussion, dia satu result, dia tunjukkan dia punya result, terus discuss dan bagi dia punya, kita kata komen daripada author yang memperkaji itu sendiri. Itu okey, itu tak ada masalah. Sebab dia base ni kerangka je kan, tapi mesti ada elemen tu dalam artikel tu.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for very much, Doktor. Hopefully, menjawab ya Nur Farahin. Seterusnya, the second question. Salam, Doktor. Thank you for your presentation. Can document analysis and its discussion count for entry for a journal like Al-Bayan? Can
Untuk
document analysis and its discussion count for entry for a journal like Al-Bayan?
count tu maksud macam dikira dokumen analisis kalau saya tengok kalau kajian bersifat dokumen ni kalau related to ideas maksudnya pemikiran macam pemikiran scholar ke ataupun aliran pemikiran itu boleh saya tengok ada yang diterima sebab dia something new apabila bincang contoh macam satu aliran baharu tentang pemikiran tafsir tokoh sekian dia tu memang fully dokumen lah maksudnya dia ambil daripada data-data yang hasil-hasil scholar tersebut lalu dia analisis hasil tu keluarkan dia punya ideas dia pemikiran dia tu boleh tak masalah tapi still dalam kerangka Quran and hadis tadi tu ada kerangka ke situ kalaulah dia bincangkan dokumen tu tentang idea teknologi seorang scholar tu jadi mana Quran hadisnya yang tu jadi nak tu yang tu
So it must be related to Al-Quran and Hadith lah.
ya,
Okay. Yeah. Alright. Do we have any other question from the floor? Okay. Maybe one final question. Okay. Seems like we don't have one. Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. I believe a lot of students would like to asking more, but due to time constraint and such, kita terpaksa pendekkan masa lah. Okay. Terima kasih banyak-banyak Dr. Kadir Ahmad. It's very interesting sharing and very orang kata apa something that we could get to know how to publish in Al-Dayan. Okay. And Fadilah said very clear presentation. And hopefully she could submit one to Al-Bayan, insyaAllah. Okay, Doctor, thank you very much. And also, maybe we can...
Silakan semua hantar ke Al-Bayan. Okay. Jangan risau. Kita cuba sebab sebab saya tulis kat belakang ni. Kalau jangan risau komen. Maksudnya apa yang dikomen oleh reviewer tu kita terima saja. Reject tu perkara biasa. Minor dan major tu ialah satu benda yang kita nak belajar sebenarnya. Sebab saya banyak ditolak bila kita ditolak tu banyak kali ditolak. Bagus sebenarnya. Yang penting kita tahu apa dia komen. Komen tu sebenarnya membantu kita untuk upgrade kita punya artikel. Kadang-kadang kita buat artikel ni kita rasa syok sendiri kan. Kita rasa macam bagus dah. Rupanya bila komen tu baru tahu betul juga lah. Betul juga. Jadi di situ kita belajar something. Jadi kalau artikel kita ada artikel, submit je. Yang penting kita ikut format semua, kita submit untuk kita dapatkan idea daripada orang lain. Reviewer ni masalah kita pandang apa yang orang review per kita ni dia sedang memberi satu idea baharu pada kita. Jadi kita hantar je, dia bagi komen tu, jangan fikir negatif, fikir positif. Oh rupanya aku silap kat sini. Rupanya aku nak tambah ini. Jadi lebih menarik ke tu.
Thank you, Doctor. That's a very good advice. I think particularly for the student, okay, they should take this because some students they are afraid of submitting their article, right? Okay. Alright, Doctor. Terima kasih banyak. InsyaAllah, we are very honored, very happy for your presentation and also information hari ini. So, everyone, please turn on your camera so that we can take a photo. Dr. Khairi.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Khairi, on your cam. Yeah.
Ramai. Saya tak nampak macam.
Ini Dr. Khairi. meeting dia agaknya dia
Ya,
ha.
ramai.
Itulah.
Dan jemputlah datang ke UM.
InsyaAllah, if we have an opportunity, we will make
Ya.
surely we will visit it. And do visit apa ni datang juga ke UTM.
Ya,
Maybe
insyaAllah.
we have another second section ke insyaAllah in the future. Saya meet boss Dr. Fauzi dengan Dr.
Ya, Fauzi.
Mansuri. Okay, Dr. Khairi, are you done? Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Once again, terima kasih banyak and thank you very much. We are very happy to have you here today and hopefully we could see there's an opportunity for us to see you again in the future, insyaAllah. Terima kasih. Okay.
Okay, semoga bermanfaat. Minta maaf banyak, salah
InsyaAllah.
silap sebagainya.
Tak ada.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you Dr. Kadir. Ada hal sikit tadi. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
Terima kasih, Doktor. Alright.
Okay.
So,
Boleh live lah? Saya boleh live lah?
Ya.
Okay.
Terima kasih, Doktor. InsyaAllah jumpa lagi. So we are now going to enter our part 3 section with Editor-in-Chief of Journal GITC, with Associate Professor Dr. Humaira, with her topic of presentation, Journal Selection Criteria for the Academic Papers in Islamic Studies. And we will be having Dr. Kausar as the moderator of the program. So over to you, Dr. Kausar, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Fauzi bin Abu Hussein, Deputy Dean, Research, Innovation, Development and Alumni. Dr. Akmaliza bint Abdullah, Deputy Chair, Academy of Islamic Civilization. Dr. Mansouri Ibrahimi, Director of this workshop. Staff and colleagues, distinguished guests and audiences, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good afternoon. Welcome to our second afternoon session for this day of our workshop on journal publication for researchers in Islamic studies. I am Dr. Kauthar Bayoumi, and I am pleased to join you as a moderator for this session. Of course, throughout the previous sessions, the challenges to get published in high-indexed journals, which has been a long-standing issue for researchers in Islamic studies, have been covered by our distinguished speakers throughout the day. Yet, one of the crucial aspects to succeed in getting published is the selection of the suitable journal. Our distinguished speaker in this session will provide her insights and elaborate on journal selection criteria for the academic papers in Islamic studies. Distinguished audiences, I have the honor to introduce to you Associate Professor Dr. Humaira Ahmed from the Department of Islamic Thought and Civilization, School of Social Sciences and Humanities, University of Management and Technology, Lahore, Pakistan, the Chief Editor of the Journal of Islamic Thought and Civilization, which is indexed by Scopus. Please welcome Associate Professor Dr. Humaira.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kausar Bayoumi. It's really an honor for me to present my journal, to present myself, and to present Pakistan as well. So it's really pleasant. I would like to thank Dr. Mansoura Ibrahimi, whom I can see. Hello.
Hello, doctor.
I can see her.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah. She was kind enough, and I must thank you very much. You are so kind that you invited me on this, prestigious forum. It's really an honor for me, and I am so happy that I would get a chance to learn from you people. I am very new to this field, and I must admit that I don't have that kind of information that you people have, but I believe that sharing knowledge with you and sharing my insights and learning from you will definitely enrich my knowledge as well. So I would like to thank you. I would like to thank Dr. Kausar. Definitely, it's my first interaction with you. With, with Dr. Mansoor, we are habitual that we keep on talking and we keep discussing things. As far as my presentation is concerned, being the chief editor of Journal of Islamic, yes, I'll discuss about the journal as well. But before moving on to journal, I would like to discuss few important things regarding Islamic studies research. Uh, Dr. Mansoori, should I share the
Yes,
slide or will
yes,
you share?
yes, please. If you can share, it's okay. If not, it's okay. I can share it. Would
Okay,
you
okay.
like me to share?
Let me share.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much. If we talk about the research in Islamic studies, if we talk about the research in Islamic studies, we can claim that we are the inheritors of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, as prophets, all the prophets and Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well, because we have been asked that ilm is the inheritance of Muslims. So it is our mission to do the research in this sense that we establish the message of God on earth. We propagate what have been given to us to other people. We should continue the legacy of the prophets and we should continue what has been given to us. So if we talk, what are the dimensions of research in Islamic studies? So you can say that there are two dimensions. Basically, how Islams and Muslims influence the world in social aspects of life, such as education, religious dominance, politics, and economic relations. So, that is an important area. Um, we see the contemporary situation in the Muslim world and the contemporary situation across the globe. How Muslims are facing backlash on many issues on which even they are not responsible. We see the backwardness in the field of education. We see that we are far behind on religious domain. We also see that on political and economical level, I mean, you people are in Malaysia, I can see, and uh, I can, I mean, pleasantly claim, and I'm very much proud on that, that as a Muslim country, Malaysian economy is very good, is very good. It is leading in the world economy. But the same way, there are other economies which belong to Muslim countries. But if we see our situation, and if we see overall situation in the Muslim world, we see the very disappointed situation. We feel that we are far behind the European economies, the US economies, and the world economy. We have to borrow, we have to like borrow on interest, on riba. So there are many issues which are related to Muslims, be it in the field of education. I mean, if we see in the field of education, I mean, I see that we have to follow the Western terminologies in our education. We we have to learn those terminologies. Unfortunately, there are institutes, International Institute of Islamic Thought, Islamization of knowledge, but what is what we see the result on the earth, but what we see result on the ground is unfortunate. It's quite, it's not encouraging. It's not encouraging as it should be. The second field which I would like to talk, which is of dimension in Islamic studies, is exploring all facets of Islamic teachings in every field. So, if we talk about the scope of Islamic research, we can say that basic research is on the sacred book, that is Quran. Then there are other aspects, and there are books which are written on the Quran, really, which are written about the sacred books, and which elaborate these, which elaborate Quran, and which the interpret Quran, which figure out the other issues related to Quranic interpretation. So the basic research, I was listening to Al Bayan's presentation, and it was really encouraging that they have the focus on Quran and Hadith. So if we see about international journals and Islamic studies, there are journals on Quranic studies, there are journal on Hadith studies, but we don't find, and we are not encouraged by the fact that they accept those articles which have certain, I must say, certain claim of knowledge, certain aim, with the aim of reforming Islam. That is again somehow twisted, I must say, a twisted form of knowledge, or twisted thing which Westerns have their own agenda. So if we talk about the scope of Islamic research, the basic criteria should be Quran. However, we should exclude the Orientalist research. If we really want to include the Orientalist research, we must focus on those areas which would be interdisciplinary, or which would somehow adopt the methodology of dialectics that counter their arguments in a way that their legacy should be discarded. When we talk about types of Islamic research, it is of two kinds: mechanical and original research. Mechanical research is about preparing an index or dictionary of one of the sacred books. Basically, if I see the articles and the research in Islamic studies, it is mostly focused on compiling the available data without analyzing it, without giving an insight into that data, without giving a critique, without giving an insight onto that, which is again very mechanical, and which is somehow rearranging and summarizing. I would like to add an example of one of my student. He did his research MPhil thesis on some of the topic, and when external asked him a question that what is new in this research, so then he said that it was mere compilation, because these things were present in the book but not in the form of thesis. So I mean, this answer was ridiculous. um, this answer actually ashamed me, that we should not focus on compiling and arranging in the form of thesis or in the form of article. We should add our analysis and our critique into that research, instead of just compiling and arranging things. Then again, if we talk about research, intellectual explanation, elaboration of subject matter uh, is original Islamic research, which is very much important. It also invites us the deep insight into the teachings of Islam. Original Islamic research is a response to the intellectual challenge of the age, um, of the West, you must say. The original Islamic research refutes directly or indirectly the wrong philosophical ideas that have become prevalent at the time and have begun to have adverse effect on the faith of Muslims. If we talk about the themes in Islamic studies, the research themes, then broadly it can be divided into 6 themes: Quran studies, Hadith studies, Usuluddin, Fiqh, Sira, and civilization. And these themes can be categorized into 4 branches of scholarship. General laws and ruling concerning Islamic legal provisions. I mean, the 5 pillars: Shahada, Salat, fasting, Hajj. And then we talk about Usuluddin, which studies matters of belief, Al-Milal wa Nahal, related to different sects. Then there are matters of belief. Then the third branch of scholarship in Islamic studies is served as the instrument and means to Sharia provisions, Usulul Fiqh, morphology, then Maqasid Sharia. And then the fourth, which again is my area of interest. Actually, all areas are of interest as a student of Islamic studies. I must say, but the most important area in the current scenario. Um, I must add that civilizational studies is the dominant paradigm. Islamic studies, I feel, uh, everyone have the right to disagree with me, that it is the sub branch of civilizational Islamic civilizational studies. Because when we talk about Islamic civilization, then Islamic studies, Muslim societies, Muslim cultures, and everything is included in that bigger circle of Islamic civilization. So, Islamic civilization is the most important area of research in the current scenario, be it in the context of Quranic studies, be it in the context of modernist studies in Hadith, be in the context of Maqasid Sharia, and there are many issues related to Maqasid Sharia and Usul al-Fiqh, and then Muslim political thought, economics, education, and these all aspects are included in Islamic civilization. Since I have mentioned that I am very much interested in Islamic civilization, because I have my research on modernity, post-modernity, and Islamic tradition. For me, these areas or the modernist reforms, or then the postmodern age, and the role of Islamic tradition in all these, and how Islamic tradition is being connected, how Islamic tradition is being treated in this regard is my area of interest. So uh, therefore, I am very much focused on Islamic civilization. You may say that various fields of Hadith studies, Muslim contribution in politics, economics, history, and other similar disciplines, but it should not be just description of the plain description of contribution. I must add that this description, if we plainly describe the contribution of Muslims, it is very mechanical. It is not something which includes the critique, which includes the analysis. So when we talk about, or when we mention in our research the contribution of Muslims, instead of narrating just the biography of Imam Ghazali, Ibn Khaldun, and all that, and then going to their books and their ideas and then summing it up, it's not suitable thing. I think, I feel, and my suggestion would be that it should be summarized and it should be analyzed critically. The comparison between Ibn Khaldun and the methodology of other one, be it Toynbee, be it Spengler, Oswald Spengler, be it Pithram Sorokin, or anyone else, but it should be analytical instead of just plain description. Moreover, if we talk about the quantitative area, I mean, this is something which I mention on daily basis to my students, that instead of writing pages and pages, and instead of writing text and text, let's have something statistical, let's have something quantitative, because there are so many issues in society, so many issues in society which everyone is facing. So let's cater those issues, not only in society but in international level. Let me mention an example from our journal article. One of our author, she is my student as well. She did her research, her article on profiling Islamophobia. Profiling Islamophobia. Then the profiling was from 2, 3 newspapers, Washington Times, New York Times, and etc. etc. Then specific dates or specific time period. Then she profiled it. It was a wonderful article. It gave me an insight that what kind of percentage is going on against Muslims, what kind of percentage of news, or what kind of percentage of news uh, uh, projecting negative connotations about Muslims, about Islam. So the selection of words, the selection of title plus the methodology does matter a lot. Islamic civilization, research in Islamic civilization basically is adopts the methodology of Hadith scholars, like determining the validity and reliability, then ascertaining the historical facts, then refinement of culture, heritage, document of wisdom. That's all is related to Islamic civilization research. I feel, and I have seen it during my experience, that Islamic civilization, the research in Islamic civilization is very broad. It caters so many topics. One of my supervisee at PhD, he has done his PhD. He did his research on contextualizing Christianity in Pakistan. The other one did on perennialist philosophy and the principles of religious pluralism. And she discussed in Muslim context, Muslim perennialist thought. Then another excogitating Islamic epistemology. So these are the broader themes. We can have specification of it. The more, when we talk about the selection of journals of Islamic studies, I have seen and I have somehow surveyed the journals for preparation to this presentation as well, and for my own use, that journals titles are very specific. They need specific titles plus specific time period and specific area, instead of focusing a large domain, focusing on whole Muslim world. I mean, that is unresearchable. uh, Once I saw an article on the Muslim World Journal, and I see it was uh, talking about Ibn Taymiyyah's that particular methodology. So it gave me an insight that, I mean, Ibn Taymiyyah's standing, he is a scholar in medieval ages, plus he was somehow hardliner as compared to the, I mean, you can disagree with that, but he had his own approach towards religion. But you can find an article on that. And it was not something which was discussing very new thing, but it was catering a new perspective to his methodology. So, I mean, Muslim World is a standing journal, so we can see. When we talk about, which brings me to the different titles of Islamic studies journals. 5 years ago or 6 years maybe, I was asked by my rector, he has died 3 years back. He asked me to prepare a report on the journals of Islamic studies, international journals in Islamic studies, plus prepare a comparison with the local journals. Unfortunately, the situation of local journals in Pakistan is very bad, except for Islamic studies. I mean, many of you have heard the name of Islamic studies. It is being published since 1960s. Plus, its readership is very vast. Almost every Muslim Islamic studies scholars tries to access Islamic studies, which is present in JSTOR. Plus, online it is also present. Otherwise, there are many journals who are trilingual in Pakistan. So hardly there are 2, 3 journals which only publishes article in English. Otherwise, so many journals, they are trilingual, Urdu, English, and Arabic. So English part is very limited. Urdu part is comprehensive. I mean, because people speak Urdu as your national language is Malay, so there is Urdu in Pakistan. So you can find a lot of articles. But if you talk about the quality of the articles, I mean, I'm very disappointed. I must say that I I should be wrong, but I am not wrong. Unfortunately, the quality of articles in local journals is very abrupt. So I was talking that I was asked to prepare a report on international journals in Islamic studies. Uh, this part of the presentation is somehow I have derived from that particular report. If you simply talk about the titles of the journal, you may find 90% titles related to Middle Eastern studies. That is something which we people sitting in Malaysia and Pakistan, it is somehow discouraging for me because we are not part of the Middle East. All of us are not the scholars of Middle East. We are, our context is not of Middle East. Plus, the whole Muslim world is not Middle East, unfortunately. So, I mean, obviously, there is a political side to these titles because most of the titles belong to European universities or American universities, and you know that they have their own aim regarding to that. But if you talk about there are so many journals. I have selected few to mention here. Then Arabic Science and Philosophy, and an overview of these journals. You can see that mostly titles are related to Middle East, except the Journal of Islamic Studies, Palestinian Studies. Then there are specific journals for women's studies by the name of Hawa. I have mentioned somewhere, yeah. Journal of Women of Middle East and the Islamic World, then Iran and Middle East. On these titles, you can understand that all of these titles mostly cater to the Middle Eastern studies, or they are related to Middle East. So if you are a scholar at Middle East, I don't know if Malaysian universities, I couldn't get a chance to see the websites of the. Do you have Middle Eastern studies at your universities? Can someone tell me that? Do you have Middle Eastern studies at your universities?
Doctor, I don't think so that I can find any institute can cover totally the aim of Middle Eastern studies as we have it in either in Middle Eastern region or European and American institutions. Well, there are some, but mainly from, for example, when you come to the discussion or analysis, we can see from a Malaysian or Southeast Asian perspective.
Exactly. That's my point, because in Pakistan and India as well, we don't find, even I can't find a program on Middle Eastern studies. Sometimes I feel that there should be a program because the Americans and the Europeans have monopoly on it. And in Pakistan or in Malaysia or the other countries except the Middle East, we don't get a chance to study those areas. Similarly, I feel that the Middle East don't have the chance to study Malaysia or Indonesia or Pakistan or India. I mean, they remain focused on the Middle East. Anyway, it is somehow discouraging for me because all the impact factor journals, many of the impact factor journals and many of the Q1 ranking journals mostly cater the Middle Eastern articles or the articles related to Middle East situation. So whatever is on Middle East is being published. If it is good or political helpful, then it is published instantly, which is somehow discouraging for our countries. Anyway, I have the Malaysian journal At-Tamaddun, which is again Scopus indexed, then Al-Afkar, which is also Scopus indexed, then Indonesian Journal of Muslim Societies, again that is Scopus indexed. So if we have articles which are not related to Middle East and which are not related to the study of Arab affairs, then I feel that all the Muslim world publishes hardly 12 to 15 articles in one issue. And again, it's an impact factor, the high criteria, again started by Orientalists back in 1900s, 1902 or around that. Then we have Journal of Islamic Studies. I guess that's Islamic Studies is of Oxford University. Then Islamic Studies Simple, that is of Pakistan. They also publish articles. I am somehow connected with one of the editor, but they have huge submissions. So they select hardly few articles to publish. I mean, 20 plus they are biannual. Uh, then area studies again, Islamic, Washington Report and Middle East. I have somehow then Iranian studies. I guess Dr. Mansoor knows well how Iranian studies is also very much highlighted, and how Iranian studies is part of our tradition. Again, that is somehow Western interest in the area, and to understand, I mean, there are many things according to that. Then Islamic law is the key area. I have seen Harvard University has a journal on Islamic law. Um, Journal of Islamic Law and Culture is again a very prominent journal on that. You'll be wondering that we can find these titles very easily on the net. I'm just giving you an idea that if you go through the scope of these journals, or plus if you see the ideology or aim and even objective of the journals, unfortunately you will uh, find the situation, or you will find the situation that they don't publish uh, the orthodox position. They don't publish the mainstream things. Somehow they published even Taylor and Francis journals. There are so many journals on Taylor and Francis, related to Muslim world, related to Muslims, Muslim minority affairs, Muslim affairs, so many journals, and they have very clear scope and theme. But the articles are published on not something which does not related to their ideology. For example, one of my student, a PhD supervisee, he sent an article on the role of women, the women who are covering their head and covering their faces, you may say the hijabi women, their role in election of Pakistan, Jamaat-e-Islami. I mean, that is very popular. The article was very good in terms of technicalities, in terms of content, in terms of formatting, but unfortunately, it was rejected again and again and again and again. So it continued. So I feel that they have their own targeted areas, and plus they have their own things. Still, I don't want you to disappoint. I yeah, I mean, it's in my nature as well that we have been asked to submit again and again. We submit at one journal, then another, and then the third, and then we see it's all right. It's not going to get published. So let's find out some connection. Let's find out which journal takes fee. Let's find out the local journal and then get it published, and then that's it. Um, in the present scenario, be it in Pakistan, be it in international world, I feel that this ranking system, I mean Q1, Q2, this run of ranking system, plus this run to be to get published in impact factors or Q1 ranking or Q2 or Q3 has actually somehow lowered the quality of research. The more focus is on numbers, let's get that particular number and get promoted. Let's get that particular number and approve our research. Let's get that particular number and be associate professor or professor and all that. So this whole race of numbers has affected the quality of the research. I mean, many of my colleagues will agree to that, who are in this race, because whether we are willing or not, since we are the part of academia and we want to progress, and we want to go ahead, and we want to compete. So we don't have any other option except to be the part of this race. So that is something else. You may find another list of literature and language journals, medieval Islamic studies, Turkish Ottoman studies. There are so many titles here. You have seen in the previous two slides. What I recommend to everyone, or what I recommend even to myself, that analysis part, the critique part is very much important. Instead of just giving plain narratives, whether we want to get published in Journal of Abbasid Studies or Islamic Manuscripts or Turkish Historical Review or Middle Eastern Literature, the analysis part should be the key part. Introduction and then all that. Uh, Another problem which we face, we are not English speaking country. Same goes for Malaysia, and same goes for many other Muslim countries. uh, Unfortunately, even one of our professor who is teaching English literature and language, she says that this is monopoly of the Westerners. You even submit the article, they ask you that since you are not the native speaker, so you need to get the language editing services, and then we pay for the services, and then again we are asked to submit the article. So the monopoly is there, but it should not stop us from submitting our article to these journals. One thing more, instead of targeting impact factor journal very beginning in the career, let's have journals which are local and which are accepted by our universities. The same way, the Scopus journals, ProQuest index journals, again, which are accepted by our universities, because every country, the Higher Education Commission, uh, have Higher Education Commission which have their particular list, which have their particular criteria. So is for every university. So we should figure out what their requirements are. I too also want to get published in Impact Factor. I also want to get published in all my articles in Scopus Index. I also want to get published in Web of Science journals, but obviously it's not possible. It's a ladder. One of my colleague asked me, I mean, it's 7 years old thing. Um, I I was about to get done with my PhD, and I had suggestion from him. He was a librarian. I asked him about journals. He directly of impact factor journals. He said to me that, Madam, please start from local journal, then you'll move to higher journals. It's not that you're going to target that and then. Another problem which I face, and I think many of our colleagues face, that in social sciences, or then particularly in Islamic studies, we have not that high number of journals which can cater the needs. In Pakistan, I mean, I can see that in Islamic studies, so many people are doing MPhil and so many people are doing PhD. Uh, and everyone have to get the publication. And when I talk about the number of journals, local journals, there are very few in number, and they have to publish the articles of the professors. They have to publish the articles of students as well. So there is a limited number, and everyone, you'll see everyone complaining that my article is not published, the editor is not responding, this is happening, this is happening. So that is, these are the common problems I hear every day as the editor of the journal. If we talk about these journals, what I have showed you, you may see that some of these journals cater research article on almost all topics, ranging from theology to Islamic culture, from philosophy to area studies, from policy statements to immigrant crisis. Journal of Arabic and Islamic Studies, for example, Journal of Islamic Studies and Islamic Studies. As I earlier mentioned, this Journal of Islamic Studies is published by Oxford University. Islamic Studies is by International Institute International Research Institute, Islamabad. Then there are other research journals which accommodate specific topics like Islamic culture, gender issues, for example, Hawa, for example, Middle Eastern studies, Middle East policy, Middle Eastern women, they talk about this. Gender in society, Muslim theology. Muslim theology is another field, but I have read a name of the journal, Feminist Theology, which talk about women theology. So you may find these kind of titles. Then there are area studies, Arab Quarterly, Jerusalem, particularly focused to Palestinian studies. Then mostly you will find journals. If you are going to find area studies as your main theme, then there are a lot of examples on Middle Eastern journals. Then Arabic literature, Islamic philosophy and Islamic epigraphy, Sufia by the name of journal, Islamic art and architecture, Mukarnas. If we look on these journals and if we survey, mostly journals, the international journals are being published by Brill, under the umbrella of Brill. Then you may say, Abbasid studies, study Islamica, Islamic manuscripts. These all journals are published by Brill. Then there are Taylor and Francis journals, journal, Middle Eastern Journal, Muslim Minority Affairs, Journal of Arabian Studies, then Wiley Online. The journals of Wiley Online are impact factor, plus they are not easily accessible on net, except that your university have e-sources for those journals. You can find the names of the journals, many names of the journals on JSTOR as well. This is the kind of the survey of Islamic studies journals which I'm if you are going to select any one of the journal, I would suggest that please go through the scope of the journal. Almost every journal, international journal, maintain their web pages very regularly, or try to maintain. I mean, the web pages are so well equipped, ranging from their introduction, aim and scope, to submission guidelines, and then the details of the indexation, and then the guidelines to format your article. Even they have uploaded the samples. So the key point in selection of the journal is to read the scope of the journal. I would also suggest in this regard, I was thinking about an example that recently an article was submitted to us. I mean, not one, it was two or three by the same person. He submitted 2-3 articles, and all articles were related to Saqifa Bani Sada, or the split between Sunni and Shia. Similarly, the split between Shia theology. I mean, honestly, yes, this is an important area of research, but I always say let's not focus our research on controversial issues. Whether we accept or not, these are the controversies. These have been the controversies. They created a split between Muslim community. So let's focus on mainstream Muslim thought. And again, as an academician, as a professor, it's my advice that let's not get controversial. If you want to remain in academia, if you want to remain in university or in college, and if you want to teach and go further, let's be neutral. Whatever is your belief on personal level, keep it to your personal level, not to propagate it. Even if you want to propagate it, you'll find many forums. But let's not use the university forum, and let's not use the journal forum, or let's not use the article forum, because it makes you controversial. It makes your research as biased, as prejudiced. Another important thing, when you are going through the journal intro, that please have a look in which indexing agency the journal is indexed. Because the quartile ranking Q1, Q2 are based on the citation index or citation report, and these citation reports are determined these citation reports are determined again by these publishing houses as JCR or SJR. So please have a look at the indexing agency. Then, if you have selected one journal, please, that is a request, even if you are going to submit an article to my journal as well, that is Journal of Islamic Thought, that please correct your references, citations, and bibliography according to the format of the journal. Because as an editor, yes, I give the chance to author, even though I should not. I give the chance to author that, okay, fine, please correct the references and footnotes. That is not a big deal. That is not something which cannot be understood by anyone. I mean, you can go through the reference style, MLA, Chicago, or whatever. Once you have learned one thing, you can easily change. I mean, you have gotten the EndNote software, then you have the same thing on MS Word. It's not that big that you can't put your effort on that. At least technically, the article should not have a loophole. The article should not have any, any loose end on which editor get the chance to reject it. Um, there should be fewer quotations in the article. I mean, these are the things which I heard that you have already listened in the previous presentation and other presentations, so I'm not going into these details, however, which I see um, in my journal, so I would like to focus on these current trends in publishing. When you look for the impact factor in Q1 to 3 ranking journal, you all know that we have a large number of submissions from Malaysia and Indonesia. Then I came to know that actually Scopus indexed articles are accepted in Malaysian universities. So, so many students and so many professors submit their articles to Journal of Islamic Thought, which is again Scopus indexed. So somehow I got what is the problem and why so many submissions. Another thing which I would like to add, that if you are considering uh, a journal, please have a look on the recent issues, recent 2-3 issues of the journal. That would give you an idea of the trend of publishing of that particular journal. That would give you an insight on the thought of the editors, what they are selecting, and what kind of criteria they are considering to select an article. Then you can see many journals have that icon, which is most read articles. You can figure out why that article is most read, and what's so special in that article. Then, as I have earlier said, that please don't forget to follow format guidelines. Please have a focus on societal issues, because as a Muslim, we need to have more focus on our surroundings. We need to be a better Muslim in which area or in which community or in which that particular space we are living. I mean, we should not have a flag that we are going to reform the whole world. We are going to spread the message to whole Islam, although it is the aim. But let's be focused to our little circle, then we'll move forward. Let's be good to our fellow human beings, fellow Muslims, um, among which we are living, then let's move forward. But as a Muslims, I have seen in Pakistan, I'm not sure that what is the trend in Malaysia, but in Pakistan, everyone wants to spread the message of Islam to Antarctica even. I mean, they want to spread the message of Islam to America, but they don't want to get better by themselves. I always say that let's be a good Muslim, then we'll move forward. But no, everyone is focused why that thing is happening in Denmark, why a Muslim is being held unfairly in US, why it is happening in France. Yes, these are very important issues. No one can deny the fact. But most important, let's be a good Muslim, then we can talk about others. I mean, we have so many unfortunate events. Recently, 2 days earlier, on the blasphemy issue, a man was burned to death. I mean, let's not focus what everyone is doing with us. Let's focus what we are doing with others. So societal issues. And if you are going to talk about localized themes, I have seen this thing in Malaysia, in Indonesian articles. I mean, peasantry community, then they have other things which is very local to I must say that as Pakistani reader, I am interested in those themes, but it should be in plain language. It should be related to international Muslim community. When it is too localized, as a reader, as a Pakistani reader, or as a reader which is not related to Indonesia, I will lose interest. Which brings to me another issue that the articles from Malaysia or Indonesia or any other country, they quote the local language, they cite the local language books, in local language books. They cite the articles of local language or local journals. Since our journal is in English, so I always say that please translate a rough translation of that title, be it in Malay or be it in Indonesian language or be it in any other language. Let's translate that title into English as well. Keep the original one, be it in any language, then also add the English translation because the journal is in English. So that is also an important issue. Follow the journal guidelines. And now coming to a last part of my presentation, that is related to the Journal of Islamic Thought and Civilization. I have the honor to serve the journal for past 11 years. I started working as associate editor, then editor, and now I am the chief editor. The most important and the cherishable thing is that I had worked on it alone. I promoted myself after every 2-3 years. First, I was associate editor, then I promoted myself to editor, and then I promoted myself again to chief editor. So, from managing articles to uploading it, I am very much familiar and I know every step of these because as per university rules and other things, I mean, my colleagues can understand well. Well, let's not discuss these with students. We don't get the research associate always. So when I have the opportunity to research associate, yes, I take help from her or him. Then when I don't have, then I do everything by myself. So for now, I'm handling all the affairs by myself. We got indexed in Scopus, I guess, in 2018 or 2019. Mostly, we try in the past 1 year or 1.5 year, 3 issues, we published 20 to 25 articles. But I am now more concerned about it because now I am targeting that let's not increase the number of the articles. I'll try to publish not more than 20. Even if I am trying to limit the number of articles to 15 for the upcoming issue that is of spring 2022, inshallah. So mostly we publish 20 to 25 articles, which I'm trying to reduce the number. We started publishing in 2011. So far, 10 volumes, which means 20 issues have been published. I mean, again, as I have said, that I have handled the journal from the very first day till today. I don't know what is going to happen in the future, but right now, I am the editor, chief editor of the journal. If you ask about what kind of articles I try to choose, the first thing, as an editor, I try to look at the article, the technical side, the references, footnotes, and bibliography. Is it according to journal format? Then I try to look the language of the article. Is it coherent? Is it connected? Or is it well versed, or is it too bad that it won't get the chance to be edited? Then I also see the content of the article. I mean, you may see that order is disturbed, but these are the key things for desk review report. I also see the content is relatable or not. If the article focuses just on the philosophy of some Western author or Western philosopher, that definitely is not my area of, you may say, it's not in our domain. Then if the article is all about some literary stuff, I mean, if you're writing on Shakespeare alone, and if it is not related to Islam, then that is very much important. We do not consider. Then another thing, if it is too localized, that international readers might not be interested, then again, it is not something which we accept. The number of words also does matter. I have seen that people write too long articles. I mean, I don't know how can they write like 9,000 words or 10,000 words or 11,000 words. I mean, we all can see that gradually our time span of focus has reduced. I can't focus for so long. We have Facebook, we have Insta, scrolling down, scrolling down, scrolling down, then closing it, then opening it. So we don't have that much, we are not that much focused, unfortunately. We want the small thing, small video or short passage. So in order to be brief and in order to be focused, that's what I suggest, that let's have some quantitative aspect, but not that quantitative which is not required. That if you are counting the reward of, one of our author wrote an article on counting the reward of Salah. And I was like, what is the point of writing that article? I mean, it's already elaborated. So have a quantitative aspect, but where it is required, not forcefully inserting in it. Then the global perspective, we accept the articles on Muslim societies. In the global perspective, on any Muslim personality, but not just to highlight his personality, uh, highlighting his work in the present scenario, plus if it is new. I mean, that is something which is generic. If it is new, if it adds to the contribution of knowledge, then fine. Otherwise, we do not accept. Moreover, we consider, we take almost 3 to 4 weeks for desk review. I mean, as I have mentioned, that right now I am alone handling this journal tasks, besides teaching to MPhil and PhD, besides taking my classes and supervising and all. So we take almost 4 weeks for desk review report. If it is fine, then we start processing it for review. That is another issue which I won't discuss here. So the reviewer, usually it is required that we should give reviewer time of 15 to 20 days or almost 1 month. I mean, that is somehow If someone sends to me an article and asks that please review it by tomorrow, I'll definitely say that I don't have time because I have so many other things going on. So it is fair to give time to reviewer of almost 1 month. Then we give them reminders that please give us the review as we have to proceed it. So author need to be patient because an article can take a minimum 6 months. I mean, 6 months should be considered. Plus, one thing which I have seen on many things, I mean, this is somehow both ways, that author sends an article by yesterday, submits by yesterday, and then on a very next day, he or she sends me an email on my personal email ID that I have submitted an article, please respond. Let's wait for a day. You people have Sunday on. We have a holiday on Sunday. You have a holiday on Friday. We don't have. So these are the things that should be kept in minding when you are kept in mind when you are submitting an article to journal. Then if we talk about the advisory board of our journal, you may see on the journal website, I have mentioned the links of the journal website at the end of this presentation. There are so many big names who are part of the journal advisory board. Again, it's a requirement from our Higher Education Commission that we should have these names from a few countries. We have names even from Malaysia as well. I mean, I was looking Dr. Ibrahim M. Zain. He used to be in Malaysia. ISTAC, now Institute of Study of, I guess, Civilizations and Cultures. Now he is in Qatar. I think I should add a few names from Malaysia as well. I would like to add in the future, inshallah. The scope is very vast of the journal, but again, it should be interdisciplinary. It should remain focused on Islamic civilization, even though it discusses natural sciences, even though it discusses Oriental studies or Occidental studies, but it should be of Islamic civilization. Again, there are some articles which are out of the scope of the journal, but sometimes the article is too good that it's not fair to reject those. Then I suggest to author that please tweak the text in order to be fitted in journal scope. One thing I would like to add here, that I don't have the approach to reject article outright, except that the article is too bad in terms of language, in terms of content, or in terms of scope. Although I have started adopting this method, this approach, that instead of catering every article, because we can't publish every article, we don't have that number to be published, and every other day we are receiving like 5 to 10 submissions every day. So to publish all the submissions, it's again something which we can't do. But I always try to be accommodative. I always try to publish the article which is good in terms of content, which is good in terms of formatting, which is good in terms of approach. So I would suggest that please, if your article is too local, please add the kind of text that should be fitted in the journal scope. We have large number of reviewers. I mean, more than 60 reviewers, although over the time, some of the reviewers have opted not to review. There are some other reviewers which we have added. So it's an ongoing process. Reviewers are added and dropped. So it's like that. We always, many times we suggest, we have our own language editor, but many times I suggest to authors that please get it language edited, because sometimes the language is too bad that our language editor raise hands that I can't do it. I can't do it. So we suggest authors that please get it language edited. So we'll have a revised language editing instead of rejected it outright. Um, most recently, we have submissions from Malaysia and Indonesia in a large number. But earlier, we have submissions from Qatar, from Bangladesh, from US, and then Nigeria. And now we have a large number of submissions from Malaysia and Indonesia. I mean, in the next issue, which is of spring 2022, I think the 4 to 5 submissions out of 15 would be of Malaysian submissions. Malaysian published articles. Now we have a large number of rejections as well. I have told you that over the time I have adopted the methodology to reject many articles because I can't keep on going with the revisions. Because once I suggest author to revise this, he comes back to me with revision, but not precise revision. So the time is wasted of both the parties. So I would suggest that if you are really interested in revision, please take time. Take time of 2 weeks or 1 week and then revise it thoroughly. Thoroughly. I mean, have a look at the previous issues of the journal, have a look at the format guidelines, submission guidelines, and then come back to us instead of submitting again in hurry and then being rejected on that basis. As I have told you that it's a double peer review, blind peer review. We sent to 2 foreign reviewers and 1 local reviewer. And then we'll wait for at least 1 to 2 months from the reviewer. Then we, again, if there are amendments, then we send to author and we request him or her to submit a compliance report as well. And then we counter check if the author has revised or not. Unfortunately, we are too damn dishonest. I mean, I'm talking about our community, that sometimes we are too dishonest that we don't even revise and resubmit it without revising it. That is dishonesty. Moreover, I have seen this thing that we submit the paper on 2, 3 journals. I mean, it's a painstaking task that I ask the reviewer that please do review it. And when I have received the review and I have got it language edited, then I get an email from the author that I am sorry, the article is published somewhere else, so I am withdrawing the article. So kindly don't waste your time and editor's time as well. I mean, there is a chance that we can wait. Let's prioritize. If we need an article for our thesis, we need an article to get a degree, let's prioritize the publishing of that article or submit it or have a time period of 6 months. Again, I admit I am there. I am there. I suffer the same. That if an article is rejected of 6 months, then another article, then I have to wait for another 6 months. But again, that's a process that we have to go through. I mean, some of you, the students, might be saying that, ma'am, it's easy for you. It's not easy for us. Yes, I admit that it's not easy for you. So please prioritize it. So please have some patience because it's not easy to publish the article. Last but not least, if you want to figure out more about the journal, then you can have the journal address. I have mentioned few links, submission guidelines and archives. The journal address is mentioned here as well. Do cite the journal articles frequently because many of the articles are written by Malaysian authors. Avoid self-citation, I must say, because self-citation is not encouraged in the academic community. That's all I have to say. I would like to thank Dr. Mansoore and Dr. Kausar for inviting me for listening to me, because I can't listen myself. So thank you very much.
Thank you
I
so
mean,
much.
it's and I would like to apologize if I had something, if I had said something wrong, and if there is something which I can't, I mean, take back. So I must say sorry for that. Please go ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Humaira Ahmed, for this informative presentation about the criteria for publishing in Islamic studies, and also for this also insights and information about the Journal of Islamic Thought and Civilization. And in fact, I think the challenge, the lingering challenge about getting published for researchers in Islamic studies will just continue for quite a while. And
Yes.
hopefully, or eventually, there might be some more number of journals that can include, or maybe open new rooms for researchers in Islamic studies to get published. I wonder if that day will come at all. Anyway, we have some questions here in the chat box. Let me read some of them. And in fact, one of them is from Associate Professor Dr. Fauzi, and in the same, of course, concern and issue about the challenge of getting published. And he is asking about the journals. You said something about the journals in the dominant in the West, and he's asking, aren't the journals published by Western publishers influenced by Orientalists?
Yes, I
And
do agree. Yes,
somehow they are looking for their perspective.
yes,
So
yes,
it's
I do
also
agree.
hard for us to get our paper published in their journals, as we subscribe to different paradigm while disseminating our research. So how we can find the trade-off?
Sometimes I feel that let's pool our money and have a publishing house and break this monopoly. But I think it's not possible. Again, I see that if they are not publishing in our paradigm, I mean, after rejected again and again, we need to figure out solutions that uh, let's just upload our paper. I mean, I have seen many people, they upload their paper without publishing it, or they just mention it's unpublished paper. Moreover, instead of we need to get out of this number game at some level, because I feel that if we have the journal, we as a Muslims, I blame myself as well. I blame many others, because we want to be accommodative. We sometimes publish even those things which Westerns would avoid, but we do publish in order to be accommodative, in order to be open-minded, in order to be liberal, in order to be called that these are so good, these are reformative. So we also need to focus, and we also need to give space to our people more. When we talk about those Western publishers, I think they are doing their work. They'll keep doing their work. They won't be affected, since they have the dominance, since they own publishing houses, since they own I mean, since they own journals. So they'll keep doing what they have to do. Let's let's keep doing what we have to do. So, I mean, that's something again which is very apologetic. That is something which is again very defensive.
Yeah.
But I don't see any other domain which we have, unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we have more two questions, and both are from Ifa. The first question: are exegesis or books that interpreted the Quran or relating um, the Quran to certain topics considered as secondary data?
Um, yes, it is considered as secondary data, but I think, I mean, I might not be able to answer correctly, but I feel the tafsir and the Quranic exegesis, the previous ones like Tabari, the Kashaf, then the Ibn Kasir, and the other tafasir, these are the primary sources as considered in the field of Quranic studies. We can focus on these tafasir, plus we can focus on the books on Ulumul Quran like Al-Ittiqan by Jalaluddin Suyuti, Manahinul Irfan. These are considered somehow the primary sources because Quran is the major source, primary source. Then we have to consider few exegeses as the primary source, which are the initial ones. We have, in every language there are tafasirs, there are Quranic exegeses, but again these are secondary sources. Uh, Again, I must say this is the difference of paradigm. In social sciences, the texts are considered as the secondary source,
Yeah.
secondary, primary, or even tertiary. They talk about the interviews and all that. Now, in Islamic studies, for us, the Hadith, the Quran, then the classical tafsir are the primary source. So again, this is the paradigm difference. When we talk about pure in the sense of social science research, these are the primary sources, these are the secondary, tertiary sources. And when we talk about in Islamic studies,
Yeah.
these are the primary sources. Again, it's like that.
Yeah, in fact, this is some of the controversy or something, yes, the difference between Islamic studies and social sciences, whereby always we consider these exegesis as secondary sources. But however, in some Quranic themes like tafsir, if I'm studying some of the great mufassirin or something who interpreted Quran, they are considered main source. So, however, it's something sometimes confusing for researchers to determine.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so we have another question here also from Afa regarding the Islamization of knowledge. She is asking, is Islamization of knowledge research for other social sciences be accepted under Islamic studies and published in ISI journals? Most Western journals got reviewers problem like no reviewers or unfavorable or of no interest to any stakeholder. Also problem of accepting Islamic traditional methodology in social sciences since not revert the Quran like Muslims.
Again, the same thing, the paradigm
Yeah.
difference. And again, it's a big dream, the Islamization of. But let's discuss that again. What talking about Islamization of knowledge, we are discussing in English language. I mean, that is again a problem. So, Islamization of knowledge is a big dream, and I don't think so it would ever come true. And it's a lost dream. I mean, Ismail Raji Al Faruqi, he had so many sources with him. He had so many people, but unfortunately, he won't be able to do anything. He was assassinated and all that. So again, that is the same thing. So I always prefer that let's produce a credible body of knowledge. I teach Orientalism to my PhD class. There is a course which I'm teaching. And when I see the amount of work done by Orientalists, I always see that we have ideological difference. We have perspective difference. It is not possible that we are able to refute them. I mean, how can we refute when they even don't accept Quran and we are quoting Quranic verses to refute them? It is so absurd. So let's produce credible body of knowledge. It is not necessary that Westerns would accept it, but let's produce credible knowledge. One day, the amount of knowledge produced by us, the credible knowledge, would be so much huge. I hope so. I mean, I don't know if we will be alive or not, but that would somehow visualize the dream that we have some dominating paradigm. For now, I don't see. I'm quite disappointed person in this regard.
Thank you so much, Associate Professor Dr. Humaira. Is there any more questions? I can see in the chat box some more questions, and here, if you have more, please, uh, you can send it right now. Dr. Mansouri, maybe if you have any, just comment. Yeah, maybe I have.
I am just writing some compliment. Just
Thank you.
thank you, both of you. Thank you so much. But
Thank you so much.
anyway, Dr. Humaira, thank you very much for your impressive presentation and insightful talk. Indeed, highlighting the key points which are very important prior to submission of our research related to Islamic thoughts and civilization. It seems to me that monopoly of board of publication is a regional game, mainly by scholars who influence from viewpoint of Orientalists to control both the business and the ideas. And you clearly mentioned about that. Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Kausar, very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mansoure. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much for giving me the chance. It's really an honor for me to be among
Our pleasure.
to be among enlightened women. I feel so empowered and I feel so pleasant that I got a chance to learn from you people. I hope to see you all someday in person. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Our great pleasure and honor for having you. Indeed, we all have learned a lot from you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you once again, Associate Professor Dr. Humaira, and for this impressive and informative presentation also, and all the knowledge you shared with us. We learned a lot from you. Thank you so much, and we have the honor. We have had the honor, in fact, to receive you, and I have the honor personally to moderate the session while you are talking. Thank you so much once again, and thank you our audiences. And before we conclude our session, let me remind you that we have a second day. Tomorrow we are covering more topics about this issue on publication on Islamic studies for researchers in Islamic studies. So please do join us tomorrow. And don't forget that we will start at 9:30 a.m. However, the room would be open since 9:15, inshallah, in the morning. So you are welcomed, and don't forget to join us. Once again, let me extend my thanks and appreciation to Associate Professor Dr. Humaira, our speaker in this session, and also for the director of our workshop, Dr. Mansouri Ibrahimi, and also for all the staff and colleagues and audiences here in this session. Thank you once again. Take care, stay safe. See you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I give the floor back to Dr. Izzati.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kausar, and also Dr. Humaira, for very fruitful and insightful discussion. All right, I think I don't have to mention further more information because Dr. Kausar already highlighted that we're going to have another session tomorrow. So, but before we end our session today, can we have a photo session with the Dr. Humaira?
Dr. Humaira, would you please open your video so we can have a snap for this session? In fact, I think we lost the connection. I can see her. You see?
Okay. I think she's not around already.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Participants and audiences, like distinguished professor, lecturer, and researcher, that's the end of our day one. Inshallah, we will be coming back tomorrow with the second day, and then I hope all the participants could join us at the exact time that have been mentioned by Dr. Kausar. We'll be starting at 9:30, and also, we're looking forward to see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Mansour, Dr. Fauzi, and the rest of the team. Inshallah, see you tomorrow.
You're welcome. Thank you very much, Dr. Izzati. And
Yeah,
Dr.
sure, Doctor. Yeah, sure, Doctor. Inshallah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Waalaikumsalam. Assalamualaikum semua.